systematic racism done or acted according to a fixed plan?
So yeah, like we said, there's a fixed plan which keeps black people down and keeps their people flourishing and keeps our people at the bottom. And then this is why when you look at black people on the whole, this is why when you look at statistics, most of us ain't really homeowners. There's a reason why we ain't homeowners, because we ain't picking up the same wage that our enemies are. So there's a system in place to make that happen. So we don't move out to the suburbs. They don't want that. And when black people do move to the suburbs, what happens? They end up hating them, calling the police on them, and it's just a nightmare. But next slide. Now this is an article. It's called "How Systematic Racism Infiltrates Education." So even from a kid, your education's already part ruined by the time you even make it to primary school. Read that.
How systematic racism infiltrates education. A broken promise. Go to school, do well.
So that's what we taught when we're young. Go to school, do well. So that sticks with you when you're a kid. Your parents tell you go to school and do well. But do the teachers really want you to do well? They don't, because you know it's that in your school class that the black kids, the teacher just allows you to mess around and be the class clown, and they don't care about your education. Whereas when our oppressors with their kids, what they do is they keep in contact with the parents, they speak to them after school, they tell them, I think your child needs extra English lessons, whereas we need extra everything and nobody cares about us. So straight away we're already far behind. Read on.
And you're on your way to do a good job and a happy life.
And they say you're on your way to do a good job and a happy life. Is that true? No, because with us, we don't end up getting the jobs that we thought we would, and we sure ain't living a good life. And that's due to systematic racism, why we ain't living a good life and why we're barely making ends meet and whatnot. Go ahead.
You put in your work and you'll be rewarded.
They say what?
You put in your work and you will be rewarded.
So if you put in your work, you'll be rewarded. If that's true, why do people say to black people, because you're black, you have to work twice as hard? Now, if we're all equal, why do I have to work twice as hard? Which means this man has to do, say he has to do 2 hours of work a day and I have to do 4. That's not fair. Obviously, I'm going to be tired. I'm going to be burnt out. And they say we have to work twice as hard, which should let you know that's racist in itself. So based on your race, you have to work harder than everybody else, which should let you know there's something racist going on. Go ahead.
That's the promise of education.
That's the promise of education. Go ahead.
Sounds great, like it should be true. But the closer you look, the more this promise begins to seem a bit more like a fantasy.
And that's exactly what it is, man. It's a fantasy for black people. They tell us, go school, do this, be good, do this. And then we go and do it. And the teachers don't respect us anyway. And the universities that we tried to get into don't allow us in there anyway. Also, there was a study that they done where if you got a black sounding name, Oxford University don't even give you an invitation to come and have an interview there. Also for certain jobs as well, if you got a black sounding name, they don't allow you to come and have an interview. So this is why if you got a white sounding name, they'll give you the interview and whatnot. And also there was a next study where they done 2 stories which was exactly the same. One they used the black name, one they used the white name, and they said the black name sounds more aggressive, it sounds more violent, it sounds angry, and the white one they said he sounds calm and whatnot, which should let you know that that's some racism. So based on, they judge you also based off a name. Go ahead, which means we ain't got no chance, man. But go ahead.
But the closer you look, the more this promise begins to seem a bit more like a fantasy. No one ever denies that education is important.
Now, education is important. It's good to have education. And us, our people, we get education, but we still don't get the dream jobs, man. Like, I got a brother that went to university for all these years. He said he's going to have some big job, big job. And he's been working in ASDA for like the last 10 years, man. I see him in there stacking shelves and everything, man. I see him stacking shelves, beans and everything. And he's got a degree. And he's putting beans on the shelf and he's got a degree. So I looked at that and I said, there's no point me going to university to be stacking beans as well. But go ahead.
God. It is just that the path to achievement and advancement is easier for some.
It is what?
Easier for some.
Listen, this path is very easier for some. Now, and this is why black people say you have to work twice as hard. This is why my grandma came over here from Jamaica and had to work 3 jobs. She worked 3 cleaning jobs. I don't even know where her and my granddad found time to have kids, but was working so much cleaning jobs. I don't know, but she had to work 3 jobs, 3 cleaning jobs. My granddad was also doing 3 cleaning jobs and was struggling. And you had You had white people working one job and they was picking up more from that one job than they was making from them 3 jobs, which should let you know something's racist, man. And if you don't believe racism still exists, racism is still happening today, and it's never going to stop. Go ahead.
Then for others, people of color face barriers to success every single day.
And people of color face barriers to success every single day. There's plenty of barriers in our way. Now, certain positions they won't even give you in a business, and this is why you could be a black man working at a company for 10 years. They won't offer you the manager's position, but a white man can come in, work there for 3 months, and they're more likely to offer it to him because they know no black man could be the face of the company. So they'd rather give it to their people. The most you will get is a supervisor. That's the most you probably get is being the supervisor. But go ahead.
God, from a very early age, that whites never have to think.
Hold on, from a what?
Very little age, an early age, that whites never even have to think.
And listen, white people don't have to think about these things. And also, white people have enough money to pay for their kids to be tutored after school. They have enough money to pay for their kids to have an extra 2 hours of tutoring, whereas black children, we don't have that. We ain't got that kind of money to get our kids tutored. So what happens, obviously, we just be in school, mess around for the whole day, and then we go home and we ain't learning nothing. Meanwhile, they've got that extra money to pay for tutoring. And it should let you know, like, when you're in school, all the black kids is what? We're all school dinners. I bet everyone in here is free school dinners, free meals. See, whereas them white boys had the packed lunches and the sandwiches, and our parents, like, at school, that's probably the only time you'd get a meal, because obviously we was poor because systematic racism and whatnot. Our parents couldn't have good jobs, so obviously they ain't got the money to pay for tutoring, which means the cycle just continues, which means what? We're going to grow up, then our kids is going to be the same way. Go ahead.
Let alone worry about. Remember preschool, learning to write a name, playing with dolls and blocks, jumping in puddles. That's the preschool experience. Also, part of the experience, apparently, racism. It turns out that black students are much more likely to be suspended from.
Hold on, black people are what?
Much more likely to be suspended from preschool.
And listen, they said black children are more likely to be suspended from preschool. And that's true, man, because when you're in your school and you see who's getting suspended and kicked out, it's all the black kids. Whereas the white children, this is what they say: oh, he needs a mentor. Let's take him to anger management classes. Oh, he just gets angry. Don't worry, we'll take him and sit him down over there. But the black kids get suspended and kicked out of the school. And listen, I've seen this in school, man. Then white kids would go crazy, screaming, throw themselves on the floor, and the teacher just says, "Oh, he's tired. He ain't had enough sleep. Let's take him into the side room." But black children don't get that privilege, man. You get suspended, and then you go home. Your mum beats you on top of that, saying, "I got work tomorrow, and I got nobody to watch it," and it's just a nightmare. But go ahead.
More than white students, they make up 18% of all preschool, but represent almost 50% of all the preschool suspensions.
And that's a big number, man. That's a big number, man. And this ain't something that I made up. Listen, I left the source on there so people can say I'm not making it up, because every week we go out to camp, people say, "Oh, you're like a racist," and you're upset that you can't get good jobs, and we can't get good jobs because systematic racism. So yeah, we're upset that they're making us upset. But go ahead.
Compare that to white kids who make up 43% of
and these white kids, they grew up with a silver spoon, man. They grew up never having to worry about the things that we have to worry about. We have to worry about like growing up, your parents barely got, because they ain't been paid. You have to walk to school because they ain't got bus fare to give you and whatnot. You have to be borrowing money from people in school, and white people don't have that problem. Their parents drop them off in the nice Mercedes, pick them up in the nice Mercedes. Meanwhile, my school days, you know, shoes when the bottom's ripped and the rainwater goes in. The rainwater goes in, you're walking, your socks is soaked. By the time you get to school, you've been in school for 8 hours with your socks soaked. And obviously, it kind of makes you angry, but really, it's not your parents' fault. It's just that this systematic racism is the reason why you couldn't even get a pair of shoes, man, because they ain't getting paid enough to. And my mom had 8 kids, so imagine 8 school uniforms, man. Listen, I had an older brother, he's shorter than me. I had to have his hand-me-downs, and the trousers were short, the shirt was short, and that's what growing up black is. And black people can relate to that. Now, white people get a fresh uniform every term, every 2 months, 3 months, they get a fresh uniform, whereas ours, it just gets recycled and whatnot. Go ahead.
Yet represent 26 of those receiving suspensions.
Go ahead.
Why is this happening? A recent study might shine some light on what's going on, it is found that black boys as young as 10 are routinely perceived to be significantly older.
So they look at 10-year-old black boys as older and less innocent, and the police do it also, and this is why they kill black people, because what, we're older in their mind and we're less innocent. So they see the color of your skin and that makes you less innocent. So they kill you and justify it by you being older and less innocent. Meanwhile, the white boys shoot up all them schools and then nothing happens, man. They just get arrested. Whereas a black man, he gets killed when he ain't got a gun, man. When they killed Mark Duggan, because what, they looked at him as aggressive. Jermaine Baker looked at him as aggressive. All the black men they killed, they look at us as aggressive, man. When really, when we see the police, we're scared for our life because we know what they do. We look at they're the aggressive ones, man. We're just trying to run away. They shoot us for running away. We're just trying to run away because we don't want to die. And we know every time we come into contact with them, there's a chance of us dying. Go ahead.
Khan, what, Slakia? Why is this happening? A recent study might shine some light on that, what's going on. It is found that black boys as young as 10 are routinely perceived to be significantly older and less innocent when compared to white boys of the same age. So
when these white boys is 10 years old in school, they say, oh, he's just a kid. He's throwing a tantrum. Don't worry about it. But our 10-year-olds, they get suspended. They get excluded. And the most secondary schools probably won't take you once you've been suspended or excluded. Right. And this is why, if you're black and you ever applied for a posh school or a grammar school, you're less likely to get that position. You have to go to schools like Holt School, Holyhead, King Solomon, all those rough schools where the teachers don't care about your grades. And when you read the reviews of that school, they're terrible. That's the ones where they send us to because they don't want us to go to King Edward's Boys and all of them places. We ain't never getting in there, but you can go to. Go ahead.
This suspicion of guilt follows people of color throughout their lives,
and this follows you everywhere you go. This follows you when you go to the shop. This follows you when you go shopping, when you're in town, when you're driving in the nighttime. This follows you everywhere, man. You can't go anywhere without police racial profiling you, and then they tell you they're not being racist. The same way it's random stop checks. It don't sound random to me. Next slide.
Consistently to question and request from students with white-sounding names, and some researchers argue that the constant stress of dealing with these things, like this and other daily encourages with racism and prejudice, can result in mental health issues.
And we got also a later slide where it lets you know that this messes with people's mental health, man. Imagine everybody's racist towards you. Your whole life you've been told, oh, you have to work twice as hard, and then you try, and guess what happens? You're gonna say, you know what, damn this, I'm just gonna give up. And then you try to go to university. The uni that you want don't accept you based on your skin color. It makes you say, forget university. Then before you know it, you need an income. And then before you know it, you end up being a criminal and a robber. And then that's how the system usually sucks most of us in. But go ahead.
Mental health issues that often go undetected.
And most of these mental health issues often go undetected. Like most black people is suffering from mental health, man. And most people don't speak about it. Like really, every black person has in their mind that all white people are racist towards me. Really, it's in your mind, you know it. Most just don't say it because obviously they don't want to say it. But they know we don't get the same opportunities. There's this saying that we all got the same 24 hours. That's a lie, man. There is 24 hours, but we don't have the same options as everybody else. Because if I go to an interview and there's a white man in the interview, I know they're going to give him the job. Even if I've got the experience. I mean, where I work, I do security. So even when a black man comes in a suit, they still watch him. They still call him out on the radio. I see free mail and whatnot. And then usually the percentage of black people that they call out is like 90%. And then the white people, they don't really call them out, but they're the ones stealing, man. They're the ones that come in stealing all the fragrances. Right. They're the ones smoking all the drugs in town. They're the ones who's mostly homeless. These is ones who's come from a good background, who's put themselves in that position, whereas us, we've come from a bad background and we still ain't as low as them, man. But, next slide. Is there anyone that I should read on?
Even the debt is uneven.
Even the what?
Debt is uneven.
Even the debt's uneven, meaning what you have to pay back is uneven to what they pay back. Also, another thing, even with jobs, when it's based on salary, your salary is less than what they get. They just don't tell you. Or the manager tells them you've got this position, so you get an extra $3,000 per year and whatnot. when really it's a lie. They just want to pay them more than they want to pay you. And obviously, the way they treat their people is how we should treat us. So in our kingdom, when there's jobs going, we're gonna give it to our people. And guess what? And guess what? They're gonna be writing articles saying, and then, so when we're in our kingdom, a white man's gonna be writing articles. He's gonna be saying even the debt is uneven. And I'm gonna say, yeah, damn right, it is uneven. That's what I'm gonna say. I'm gonna say just for that you sacked as well. That's what I'm gonna say. But read on.
Not only that, black students routinely take on more debt than white.
Hold on. Black students what?
Take on more debt.
And black students take on more debt. And also with banks as well. When you go to get a bank loan as a black man, your interest is higher than everybody else's. And the amount they give you is less than everybody else's, depending on what you want it for. Because they don't want you to buy it. This is why when you go to the bank, they ask you all these questions. The other day I went to the bank to take out some money. He's asking, what do I need it for? It's my money. You don't need to ask me what do I need it for. I'm saying I need my money. He don't need to ask me what do I need it for. Where did it come from? It's my money. Go ahead.
Then white students to go to college in the first place, making it all the more difficult to accumulate wealth.
See, and it makes it more difficult to accumulate wealth. So now, if you do go uni, which is good to go if you can get in, go. But obviously, the debt that you're paying back is way more than everybody else, and they do that so it's harder for you to accumulate wealth once you've graduated. So after uni, once you've graduated, you're mainly paying back that debt. And then you're looking at the same man that went to uni with you. And why is his life so good? And why can he afford these little extras that I can't afford? It's because, like it says, even the debt's uneven. Go ahead.
That, of course, puts pressure on the graduates to find jobs. But guess what? Black graduates are twice as likely to be employed as white. Black graduates are twice as likely to be unemployed.
So black people are twice as likely to be unemployed as white graduates, which means black people graduate and they still can't get a job. And that's all down to systematic racism. Because people think racism is just them like attacking you and beating you up and calling you nigger every so often. Nah, man, racism comes in many forms. Racism comes in ways where you wouldn't even know it comes in that way. And this is systematic racism. So you can't, so you've got the credentials, you've got the skill set, but you can't get the job based on your skin color, man. And that's how it goes in this kingdom. Go ahead.
Even black students who graduated with degrees.
Even black students who graduate with degrees. So whether you graduate with a degree or whatnot, now most black people go uni and think their race changes. It don't change, man. You go to uni, you graduate with a degree, and to them you're just still a nigger, man. You're just still a nigger that's got a degree that's not getting a job from us. That's all it is, man. Go ahead.
Graduating with degrees in so-called high demand fields.
And listen, man, they graduate with big degrees and still can't get positions. Go ahead.
Like engineering.
Like what?
Engineering.
And engineering. Listen, that's the big degree. Imagine you have to work twice as hard to be an engineer than this other man. And also, man, if you're an engineer, listen, everybody knows it. Some of us have even thought like this. When you have something on your house needs repairing and a black man comes, you have to set up the cameras and thinking he's going to steal out their house and whatnot, man. They see it as the same way. Imagine a black man's going to repair a boiler in Sutton Coldfield. They're not going to let him in, man. So this is why most of these companies don't like to take on black people for that reason. Because no matter how qualified you are, they still look at us like we're animals and so forth.
Are struggling. 10% of black engineering graduates, for example, are unemployed.
And 10% of black engineers are unemployed, man. And they have the skills, man. You would have thought they could get a job anywhere, but they're unemployed based on their skin color.
Compared to 6% of all engineering graduates.
Compared to what?
6% of all engineering graduates.
It's a big number, man. Go ahead.
Perhaps that has something to do with the study that shows that you're 50% less likely to get a job interview if your application has a black sounding name.
Read that part one more time.
50% less likely to get a job interview if your application has a black sounding name.
So if your application, listen, they ain't even seen your skin color, but they just don't like your name because it sounds black. Listen, if your name's like Craig, Tyrone, you ain't getting a job, man. Whether you got the credentials or not, you're not getting a job because it's a black sounding name. And they done a study on it. They done two black sounding names, and obviously the one with the white sounding name, he got the interview. So really, this ain't based on skills and how smart you are and how wise you are. This is based on the systematic racism. This is based on them preferring their people above you.
Right.
This is based on European supremacy, man. That's what this is based on. Next slide. Read the left one for me.
The Guardian newspaper. Why do black male graduates? Okay, why do black male graduates earn 7,000 less per year than their white peers?
So black graduates earn $7,000 less than their white peers. $7,000 a year is a lot of money, man. In 3 years, that's 21 grand, man. 3 years, that's like a brand new car, man, that you can't get because you're getting $7,000 less. And this is why your white counterparts, this is why they can put deposits down on how much is the deposit? That's like $5,000. I guess no one in here has never put a deposit on it. Don't worry, I know why. Systematic racism, don't worry. It's not your fault. I know why. Don't worry, I know why. Read that one more time.
Why do black male graduates earn £7,000 less?
And now you can put a deposit on a house with about $5,000 or $10,000, which means they can put the deposit down for a house and still have change. Go ahead. 10 grand. So in almost 1 year, they can put a deposit down for a house, whereas us, we don't have that privilege, man, because we're getting paid $7,000 less than they're getting. So every deposit they put down on a house, that could have been you, but systematic racism is stopping you from being able to do that. Go ahead.
Black men face many barriers when it comes to finding a well-paid job.
Black men do what?
Have faced many barriers when it comes to finding a well-paid job.
And they don't want black men to have a well-paid job. They want us to just have the basic jobs that we have. Like with black men, we all got similar kind of jobs where it's not paying too good. It's usually maybe about 30 grand a year, maximum 30 grand a year, maximum you'll say. Not even, probably half of that. Probably half of that. On average, you pick up like what? 1,400 a month. It's about 1,400 a month. Pick about 1,400 a month. So they don't want us to have high paid jobs because obviously they've reserved those spots for their people and not us. Read on.
But the truth is that racism cannot be overcome by amassing more qualifications.
So racism can't be overcome by amassing more qualifications. You can have every qualification in the world, man, and they're still gonna call you a nigger, man. Right. Whether you've got every qualification in the world, and they don't want you to get high paid jobs and whatnot. What's that guy's name? What's his name now? What's the one now? And they claim he started off theology or whatnot. What's his name again? Is it Albert Einstein? Is it him? Yeah, but see, nobody knows that a black man taught him, and nobody knows that. Right. But they put him up as the face of finding out something what he thought was new, not realizing that a black man taught him. You can look it up. There's books on it and whatnot. But read on.
Next article from the BBC News.
And this is from the BBC News. So I left the articles on there because every week we go to camp, people shouting at us saying, "Oh, you like don't know what you're on about." And everybody watches the BBC. I mean, we're paying, how much is TV license now? About £21 a month, is it? See, we're paying a month. No. So yeah, we're paying TV license because of the BBC. So everyone watches BBC News. So this is an article which was on BBC News. So you know I didn't make it up. Go ahead.
London's black male graduates less likely to get jobs.
So imagine me as a kid hearing, when you grow up, you're less likely to get a job. That's going to make me say, what's the point in me going to university? And then they do this systematic racism because they want us trapped in the system. They want us to go to jail, and they've been smart with it. So they don't give you a job. They pay you less. You're less likely to get a job. And then what happens? The only other option, it seems, is for you to be a criminal. That's the only other way you're going to make money. And then guess what happens? That Caucasian boy you're sitting next to in class who becomes the lawyer, he's then representing you while you're in court in handcuffs, man. And that's the difference between us and them. And that's what systematic racism is. Read the bottom part.
There was an unemployment rate of 18% for black male graduates in the capital.
And listen, these is black male graduates, man. These is black men who's done college. You do college for 3 years and probably uni for 3 years. They've took 6 years out of their life just to be unemployed, man. 6 years out of their life thinking they're going places, thinking they're going to make all this money, buy their own house. And guess what happens? They're just the same as someone that just goes to the job center, both unemployed, all because of systematic racism. So these qualifications, it's not based off your skills. Now, they will give a few people jobs, but just to make it look good, just so we don't say this is racist and we don't kick up a fuss. So they do that. They'll give one black man a job, and then when we kick up a fuss, they say, but what about such and such? It's the same thing like they say, but I got a black friend. Like, it's the same thing. That's what they do. So they give one black man a job. They give one black man a job, and then that's meant to benefit the rest of us. I mean, the rest of us want this good job too. Go ahead.
Black male graduates in London are nearly twice as likely to be unemployed as their white male counterparts, figures suggest.
Listen, these figures don't lie, man. Right. Listen, people say men and women lie, but numbers don't lie. Listen, these numbers don't lie, man. These numbers don't lie. Next slide. And listen, black people, they whiten their work resume, man, just to get an interview. Imagine this: you've got a resume, and you have to whiten it, and you can't put your race on there. You can't put black Caribbean. You don't want to tick black Caribbean on there because you know you're ticking that you're not going to get a job interview. You don't want to tick black British on there because you don't want to get it because you know you're not going to get a job interview. So black people whiten their resume, and then when they get a job, this is why they start to behave like the white men, because they know you can't be a nigger in the workplace or you're going to be out of that job. So this is why they all put on the suit, the bow tie, and start talking different. When really everyone knows black people don't talk like that. It's not the way we talk. But for a job, you have to put on that posh accent, and that makes you cringe when you're doing it. And you have to use words like lovely jubbly. Like which black man says things like lovely jubbly? Like you have to say that to your manager, just so he thinks, you know what, he's black, but he's not black. So you have to whiten. You see, you have to. It's like you have to become white in the job, and this is how they want it, man. They would rather every black man behave like a white man, and the ones that don't behave like the white, like us, they say, oh, the bums, they ain't got a job. They look homeless, they're this, they're that, they're aggressive, and that's what they do. Read that for me.
Minorities who whiten job resumes get more interviews.
So you have to whiten your job resume to get more interviews. You have to change your race on there, have a white sounding name, behave like a white man at the interview, come with a briefcase and all of those things, shuffling your papers. You have to do all of those stuff. You have to shuffle your papers, and when really that's not how black men are, but just to get a job in this place, this is how they made it, that you have to become like that. Right. Even when black men go to court, like you can tell when a black man's when a black man wears a suit, you can tell he's blatantly going to court, like just by how he wears it. Like the measurements ain't even correct. Like the suit ain't tapered, the blazer's baggy, the trousers is baggy. You can tell where he's going because suits ain't really our thing. So a black man probably owns about one suit maximum. Whereas our enemies, they have like a different suit for every day of the week. I remember growing up in the world, they had one suit was for christenings, funerals, weddings, all those things, man, had one suit for everything. It was a black suit for everything. But go ahead.
African American and Asian job applicants who match their race on resumes seem to have better success getting job interviews.
So that box where you have to tick your race, I mean, with a job, why do you even need to put your race on the job? Whether I'm black or white or Chinese or whatnot, shouldn't the skills do the talking? Like they should be asking me from accolades, but they're asking you what color you are because they don't want to give you the job. Whether my job is to pick up boxes, whether I'm black or Chinese, we both got hands, man. Whatever my hands are, we both should be able to do the same job. So why do they need to know what race I am? Which lets you know it's because they don't want to employ you. As soon as they read your resume, as soon as they see that black Caribbean box scrunched up, it's in the bin. And then you have to whiten your resume, man, in order to get a job. Read this one for me.
Minority job applicants are whitening their resumes by deleting references to their race.
Imagine this is meant to be post-racial Britain, and we have to delete our resumes to our race. We have to not be black in order to get a job. In order to get a job, you have to go to the interview well groomed, shaved beard, and everything, man. Go ahead.
By deleting references to their race with the hope of boosting their shot at a job.
Just imagine you can't be you because you want a job. You have to behave like you're somebody else because you want a job, which lets you know that this country and every other country which is run by the white men, really they don't want black men in it, man. Unless you're going to conform to their way. You have to conform to their way and do everything that they do. Dress like them, talk like them, behave like them. Go ahead.
And research shows the strategy is paying off.
And research shows that whitening your resume is paying off, that you get an interview. So if you got a white sounding name and you go to an interview, really that manager, he's hoping to see a white man when he comes through the door to interview you. And then when he sees your black face, shake your hand. But don't worry, he's got some hand gel under the table where he washes his hands off. You think he wants to touch you? Really wants to touch? He don't want to touch your black hands. Really, he's just doing it because he's trying to be politically correct. And then this is what he says to you: "Oh, don't worry, we will be in contact." and then you don't ever hear from him again. You go home to your wife saying, "Oh, honey, I think I might have landed at my first job. Get packing, we're going on a holiday in 6 months' time." And in 6 months' time, you still waiting for the call back from this manager, man. Listen, you ain't got no job. Go ahead.
In fact, companies are more likely, more than twice as likely to call minority applicants for interviews if they submit white-end resumes.
And when people were saying this is a white man's world, they're not lying, man. This is a white man's world, man.
Right.
And this is why they're doing things like this. So when we get our kingdom and it's a black man's world, we've got the right to do the same thing. Right. People's always saying to us, "Oh, you're like a racist and you can't say this and you can't say that." But these like ain't giving people jobs based on their skin color. So in our kingdom, I don't have to give anyone jobs or food based on their skin color. Also, right. I'm gonna do it by skin color. When someone says, "Oh, that person's hungry," I'm say, "What color is he?" I'm gonna send them a sheet and say, "Tick the box. What color are you?" And then I'm gonna decide. Nah, I'm not gonna give him food. He's not the same as me. But go ahead.
Then candidates who reveal their race.
So if you reveal your race, the scrunch up your CV and the scrunch up your application form. So most people is hiding their race off these stuff. Go ahead.
And this discriminatory practice is just as strong for businesses that claim to value diversity.
And this is just as strong for businesses that claim to value diversity. So most jobs will tell you, "Are we diverse in here? We've got Asians, black people, white people. We diverse in here. We one family." This right here saying, "Yo, it's the same thing. They still don't want you there." But the only reason they have you there so it looks good. Because they know if they don't have no black people working there, the only place where they don't have nobody else working there is what, Chinatown. They're all Chinese, man. Listen, I'm trying to be as racist as the Chinese, man. And then people telling me, "Oh, donate for coronavirus." No, I ain't donating for nothing, man. Listen, they're the ones with all the jobs in Chinatown and all them, what is it, Wing War and Ming Moon and what's the other one? Big Wok. One of them, yeah, Big Wok, and what's the other one called? They got a ton of them. They got all their Chinese businesses. They even have the writing in Chinese. So you're just looking at, you don't know what to order. You just this one. That's what you do. That's how we ordered in the Chinese. We don't know what's what because we can't read the writing, but they don't care about that. So don't worry. In our kingdom, everything's going to be in Hebrew, and if they can't read it, you just whatever you picked is what you picked. Go ahead.
God, and this discriminatory practice is just as strong for businesses that claim to value diversity as those that don't.
Go ahead.
These research findings should provide a starting wake-up call for businesses executives.
Listen, these business executives ain't gonna wake up because they like the way their businesses run. Read on.
A bias against minorities runs rampant.
And they're biased against minorities. Really, the bias against us. Obviously, they put Asians and Chinese people and everyone over us. Just they keep us at the bottom. They don't want us to get these jobs. Go ahead.
Through the resume screening process at companies throughout the United States, says Catherine DeCal.
Go ahead.
The James N. Collins Military
Jump down to this part.
Discrimination. Yeah. Discrimination still exists in the workplace.
Listen, man, discrimination definitely exists in the workplace. You think your colleagues ain't talking about you behind your back? They're definitely talking about you behind your back, man. Every workplace you are, and what happens now is, if you're kind of young, your colleagues, yeah, they'll say a bit of racism, but try and joke it off. Really, they ain't joking, man. They'll joke it off and they want you to laugh and whatnot. So they say a few racist remarks. That's really how they feel, man. At first, they test the waters. At first, they test the waters. They say a little something. Then, obviously, when you don't respond, next time they say something else. Then, before you know it, they're calling you a nigger on the radio and everything else. And then they're calling you all of these kind of things. Listen, these things happen in every workplace. Go ahead.
God. Discrimination still exists in the workplace. Organizations now have an opportunity to recognize this issue as a pinch point so they can do something about it. DeCal's co-authorized.
You can skip to the next slide. Go ahead.
In 2016, there was an employment rate of 18% for black male graduates.
And listen, these ain't just the average black men that ain't graduated. This right here is for black men who are graduates. This is black men who have graduated, man. Go ahead.
In the capital, according to the data from the Office of National Statistics, the rate of their white counterparts was
10%. So ours is almost double theirs, man. Go ahead.
A government spokesman said the employment rate for ethnic minorities was at a recorded high.
So listen, the the employment rate for ethnic minorities was at a record high. That's a lie, because really, we know tons of black people out of jobs. Go ahead.
Calm. Was that a record high? More than 83,000 young black men in London are from black and mixed black ethnic groups, making up about 1/5 of young men in the capital.
So we really, we're the minority. So there's less of us than them, but really our statistics is still higher than theirs, which lets you know we ain't getting a job at all, man. Go ahead.
Research by
you can go to the what's it? Yeah, read that.
Research by the National Audit Office (NAO) has found that, along with Pakistan and Bangladeshi women, black men consistently have the lowest employment rate in the UK.
So they say, along with Pakistanis and Bangladeshis, black men have the lowest employment rate in the UK. Listen, man, honestly, I wouldn't employ a Bangladeshi or Pakistani because they're horrible people. But us, we clean people and we work hard and do the job. Now, imagine this, that we're in the same category as them. Next slide, if you could. What's it? So yeah, this says what? Research by the National Audit has found that along with Pakistani and Bangladeshi women, black men consistently have the lowest employment rates in the UK. Which means what? Nobody wants to employ black people, man. Because of European supremacy. That's why nobody wants to employ us. Go ahead.
Study. Anti-black hiring discrimination.
Anti-black hiring, meaning nobody wants to hire black people. Like we've been saying it now. Everyone remembers being young, handing out CV after CV after CV. As soon as you walk in the shop, really, they throw CVs away. Because where I work, I see men coming with their CVs, and what happens? They throw them CVs away, man. You think they care about them CVs? Go ahead.
Discrimination is as prevalent today as it was in 1989.
Listen, man, 1989 is what? 30, about 30 years ago. 29 years ago, basically, 30 years ago. So really, it's still the same, man. Nothing's changed. People saying, oh, Britain and America is past this racist stage and it's past white supremacy. This ain't even that long ago, and it's still going on today. That black men can't get jobs, black women can't get jobs. Go ahead. Next slide.
Affirmative action law and legal definition.
So now this is affirmative action. This is the only reason why black people get jobs, because of affirmative action. The definition is basically like they can't discriminate against you based off your race, whether you got a disability. So basically, they're lumping black people as in the same category as someone with a disability. So based on our color, they're saying it's like you got a disability. So they've come up with this affirmative action. Go ahead.
God. Affirmative action is a process of a business or governmental agency in which it gives special rights of hiring or advancement to ethnic minorities.
So listen, why should we need this if everything's equal? Why would we need this special treatment if everything's equal?
That's right.
Which lets you know nobody wanted to hire black people.
Right.
So they came out with an action just so they can hire black people. And this same affirmative action is what people with disabilities, they can't discriminate against them, which is saying you're black, you're not physically disabled, but you're disabled. That's what they're basically saying. They're saying your skin is a disability. That's what they're saying. So imagine being black and you hearing that you've only got a job because of affirmative action. It's going to make you say, damn, that I don't even want the job. And then you're going to realize I need money to survive. And then you're going to have to put your head down and go back to that job. But go ahead.
To make up for past discrimination.
To make up for what?
Past discrimination.
Instead of giving us the job now, just give us the payout so we never have to work again. Just, the money that you was going to pay me monthly, just give me it for free at the end of the month. And I'll stop complaining. But go ahead.
Against the minority, affirmative action has been the subject of debate, with opponents claiming that it produces reverse discrimination.
So now, white people are saying, well, this is racist towards us now. So they're saying, well, if we're giving them jobs, if we're giving them special treatment, this is reverse discrimination. It's racist towards us. And that's what they like to say to us. Oh, you're always pulling the race card. You're always pulling the race card. Obviously, we're pulling the race card because we see what you're doing, man. Some of us study and some of us know that there's blatant racism in jobs, in the workplace, everywhere you go. We see the racism. So we will keep pulling the race card. Go ahead.
Against Caucasians.
So now, they're saying if affirmative action is for ethnic minorities, then it's racist to white people because they're basically saying now you don't want to give white people jobs. Listen, they've got all the jobs, man. Right. They've got all the jobs, all the land, all the cars. Like, listen, black people don't know what it's like to get a car from the showroom. You know where you pull the sheet off it. Listen, Us black people don't know what it's like. We just used to buy in a car where scratches on there. It's already got a ton of miles on it. Listen, that's the closest to a new car we're gonna get, or paying down on it monthly. What white people do is they go to the showroom and that car's already paid for. They go to the showroom and they rip the sheet off it. We don't know what that's like, and I don't think we're ever gonna know what that's like living in this place. Go ahead.
Affirmative action programs are governed by a number of overlapping laws. A common principle is that whether for admission or employment, affirmative action programs such as targeted recruitment and goals are encouraged.
So this is what I always say to black people: don't be proud that you got a job, because you've only got a job because of affirmative action, man. You've only got a job because obviously they said, you know what, we don't want to discriminate against ethnic minorities, and they put you in the same category as someone with a disability. So a man that's in a wheelchair, basically you're the same as him, man. The same way they can't deny him from doing the job, they can't deny you from doing the job. So really, you're both one in the same, basically. So it's not even really that much of an achievement, and this is why we call it a slavery and not a job, because it's not really that much of an achievement. It's good to have a job because it pays the bills, but really, you only got a job because obviously they see you with a disability and put this in place so you can have a job. Go ahead.
Quotas are disfavored. Affirmative.
That's the next slide. Now this is institutional racism. The last one was systematic racism. Now we're going to read about institutional racism. So give me the definition of institutional racism.
Institutional racism, racial discrimination that has become established as normal behavior.
Hold on, it's become what?
Established as normal behavior.
So everywhere you go, everyone has institutional racism towards you, because institutional racism is what? Normal behavior. So it's normal for them to turn their nose up at you when they see you. It's normal for the police to shoot you when they see you. It's normal for people to racial profile you when they see you, because institutional racism is seen as normal behavior. It's normal for them to just call you a nigger, and it's normal for them to just look down on you and treat you like garbage. It's just the norm now, and that's what institutional racism is. We've been going through institutional racism for so long that to us it just seems normal. Like even when they say to you, slavery was in the past. Listen, man, all these things are still happening right now. Slavery's ended and you still can't get no work. You still can't get a job. You still the highest percentage in jail. Read on.
Right. Normal behavior within a society or organization.
Normal behavior, man. It's normal for them to be racist to you. So while we're trying to get them to love us, it's normal for police to stop. It's normal for us to go to jail because it's just normal. Because there's normal racism, institutional racism. Go ahead.
Institutional racism, also known as systematic racism, is a form of racism expressed in the practice of social and political institutions. It is reflected in disparities regarding wealth, income, criminal justice, employment, housing, healthcare, political power, and education.
Listen, man.
Other factors.
Listen, man. Institutional racism is based off all those things, and all of those things we on the lower end of every single one of them, man. We ain't got no broke houses. We ain't got none of the top jobs and whatnot. And then obviously in the last slide, they're basically saying we got a disability. It's like when you see someone with a disability, obviously you look at them like, you know, you need help or whatnot. That's like they look at us. They look at black people like you need help and whatnot, based off it just being normal. Like it's normal for you to say disabled person and, you know, look at them in a certain way. That's how they look at black people. So while we trying to join them, they show us how much they hate us and how normal it is to be racist towards us. Next slide. And this was in when? London, 1966. No blacks, no dogs, no Irish. This is just normal behavior. It's normal for white people not to want black people in their spots. Right. And how do I know? Because when me and Karafi go to the club, we don't ever get in. How do I know? How do I know? Listen, they don't have the sign that says no blacks, but they say it to us. Because we go there, listen, we're looking fresh and better than everybody else there, and we're excited, and everyone just turns away from the queue upset, and then yeah, because what? No blacks. They don't have the sign on the door now. They just come. Go ahead. Yeah. How much the group like? Exactly. That's how the shooters. One time, me and Karafi went. Where did we go? It was Sugar Sweet. They said to us now. The security guard he's looked at us. He goes, "I'm taking the chance with you too." Remember, he's like, "I'm taking the chance with you too. Please don't do nothing." We said, "Listen, we're law-abiding citizens. We ain't gonna do nothing." He said, "I'm taking the chance." Go ahead. And the thing is, we don't cause trouble when we go out, man. We well behave, man. This is UPK where discipline's everything. So he's saying, "Oh, I pulled some strings to let you in," which lets you know. Go ahead. Exactly. Exactly. So now they don't physically have the sign on the door that says no blacks. But when you go to these shopping centers, really, in their head it's no blacks. When you go to the club, in their head it's no blacks. When you go to restaurants, in their head it's no blacks. Because really, they don't want you in their spots, really. Next slide.
The Guardian, black people 40 times more likely to be stopped and searched in the UK.
So black people are 40 times more likely to be stopped and searched in the UK. Not based off what you've done, based off your skin color, man. Which is institutional racism, because what institutional racism means, it's just the norm, it's just normal. So it's normal for black people to be 40 times more likely to be stopped, which means what? It's 40 times more likely for black people to be killed by the policeman. Because every time they stop us, they're ready to try and kill us, man. Read on.
Campaigners say controversial new powers are doing untold damage to community trust. Black people in England,
and this is why we don't trust the policemen. We see the injustice that they do to us. They're nice with everyone else, but with us, they want to rough us up and pull guns and tasers on us. I mean, there's no need for the taser, man. Like, to pull the taser on you and the baton out and all of these things. Read on.
Black people in England and Wales are 40 times more likely than white people to be stopped and searched.
Listen, this is from the Guardian. I didn't make this up. I didn't make this up. This is from the Guardian. People say all we do is read the Bible. Listen, I ain't pulled one verse yet. I've just been showing you all articles. All this. Listen, all of this is from them who write these things. I ain't pulled one Bible verse yet. This is from the Guardian, and even this is telling you black people is 40 times more likely to be stopped by the police. Go ahead.
Under controversial powers, that Home Security Sajid Javid recently made it easier for officers to use.
And now I think it's section 60, right? Is it section 60? Yeah, they stop you under some act. I believe it's section 60. But the majority of people they're stopping is all black. So what they'll do is stop 9 black people, 1 white person, just so it looks good to them. They'll say, we're not racist, we stopped him. Listen, man, really, you stopped him and you told him, don't worry, this is just to style it out. That's what he said. They probably whispered in his ear. You know what? He's probably an actor that they stopped. I don't even know. He's probably an actor. He's probably an actor that they stopped. I don't really believe they really stopped him, but go ahead.
The analysis is based on Home Office internal data.
This is the Home Office internal data. Go ahead.
Which means Javid is likely to have known of the discriminatory impact which he gave the police greater powers.
So now he knew about this discriminatory impact it would have. He knew it was targeted at black people, because all the time when you see on the news there's a stabbing, not all the London stabbings is done by black people, but they would make you believe it is all done by black people. When you see some of the faces, it's not all black people. It's a lie, man. Go ahead.
The analysis is based in Home Office internal data, which means Javid is likely to have known of the discriminatory impact when he gave the police great powers last month.
And he gave them great powers, and guess what? These police officers couldn't wait, man. These police officers couldn't wait to get that power. You know why? Because they know with that power, they can stop black people. And they know they can stop them for no reason and probably plant drugs and guns on them and whatnot. Go ahead.
Section 60 checks the power allows officers to search anyone in a defined area for a
It says search anyone. So if it says anyone, why is it black people is 40 times more likely to be searched? That don't sound like anyone to me. This sounds like it's targeted at black people. And because of institutional racism, which means the racism is the norm, it's normal, this is why we're 40 times more likely to be stopped by the police. Go ahead.
The powers allow officers to search anyone in a defined area for a limited period if serious violence is anticipated.
Serious violence is anticipated. They don't even know if there's going to be violence. They just think there might be violence because they see black people as violent. When we ain't the ones putting yoke irons on people's neck. Right. We ain't the ones we ain't the ones throwing people off ships. Right. We ain't the ones burning people's houses down. Right. We ain't the ones that get angry and shoot up the whole school. Right. Listen, black people don't do that, man. When we get angry, we just probably just lie down on the bed and just think about how angry we are. I mean, listen, I'm just trying to go to town. Why is this angry white boy gonna shoot me? I'm just trying to shop. Cause he's mad with his life, I must get shot now. Like how's that fair? Listen, with us black people, we don't take it our anger out on others, but they do, and they don't see them as violent, but we the violent ones and whatnot. So they stop us, not realizing it. Also, when you look up Scotland, man, no, it's Ireland. There's you got a Caucasian gang in Ireland where they chopped off the boy's head. Did you see? Have you read it in the news? They chopped off some little boy's head, and they was gonna post his head on his enemy's doorstep. Now, we're black people. Black people, obviously, I'm not saying we're all straight, but when a black man is a criminal, we don't go to them lengths. Black man will stab you and run off, shoot you and run off. But what these Caucasians will do is kidnap you, hide your body, mutilate you, bury you in the woods. Black men don't do that thing. We don't do that, man. Honestly, the most the black man's gonna do if he's come to harm you is what, shoot you and stab you and run off. Whereas with them, they take your body, hide it in the woods, cut your limbs off. Like listen, black men don't do none of that, man. They're the violent ones. The most the black man will do is shoot you and he runs off and leaves all the evidence in the scene and he's in jail. He's in jail the next day. He's in jail the next day. Whereas with these, like, they hide you for months and get away with it because no one targets them like they target us. Maybe if they stop them as much as they stopped us, they would stop. And if they stop these Arabs as much as they stopped us, they would be 40 times more likely to stop them blowing up London and Birmingham and the train and whatnot. But they target us who ain't blowing up ourselves and want to take us to jail for no reason. But go ahead.
Come on, that was it.
The next slide. Go ahead.
The Guardian reveals that stark evidence is everyday racial bias in Britain.
Listen, Britain is racist to you every single day, man.
Right.
Everything about Great Britain is racist.
Right.
From the day you walk out your house, there's racism, man.
Right.
Your neighbors is racist. There's traffic lights is racist. The zebra crossings racist. Listen, man. When you look at it like that, you'll understand why people do the things they do. Everything in Great Britain is racist, man. Go ahead.
Whole commission to launch series on unconscious bias shows growth in negative experiences by ethnicity.
Go ahead.
The extent of racial bias faced by Black, Asian, and minority ethnic citizens in the 21st century Britain has been laid bare in an unprecedented study.
And all these things that I'm showing you is studies. So none of these things ain't just something that I just woke up and I felt this way. All these things is based off studies, man. Go ahead.
Britain has been laid bare in an unprecedented study showing a growth in how people of different ethnicities are treated in their daily lives.
And listen, it shows how black people are treated in their daily lives. Black people are treated like garbage by every other race in our daily lives, man. Go ahead.
A survey for The Guardian of 1,000 people from minority ethnic backgrounds found they were consistently more likely to have faced negative everyday experiences. So black people face negative everyday experiences, and we've been facing these negative experiences for so long that it don't even bother us no more because it just seems like the norm. Because we've been facing this negativity for so long, man. Go ahead. A survey of 1,000 people from minority ethnic backgrounds found they have been consistently more likely to have faced negative everyday experiences, all frequently associated with racism. Or frequently what? Associated with racism. And listen, we've been dealing with racism for so long. To us, it don't even seem that racist no more. It's just normal now. It's just normal now. Go ahead. Than white people in a comparison. Listen, white people don't know what racism is, man. With them, everybody loves them and babies them and takes care of them. Listen, black people, we know what racism is, man. Because we've been racist to for our whole time we've been here. The survey found that 43% of those from a minority ethnic background have been overlooked for a work promotion. Listen, you know why you didn't get that promotion for your job? Because you're black and they see you as a disability and they don't want to give you no big position and you've been overlooked for a promotion. So this is why at your job, you think, okay, I'm next up for the promotion. Honestly, the only way you'll get that promotion is if nobody else applies for the role, man. And then when you do get that position, you know what happens? You're doing 3 times the amount of work as everybody else because you've got something to prove. And it brings it right back to what your mom used to tell you. Black people have to work twice as hard. And then you're a grown man and that sticks with you. And then now you find yourself in a job that you hate working twice as hard just for a promotion, whereas there's a man that's on the same level as you that sends you to do all the work. Meanwhile, he's chilling in the office and you're doing all the work. Go ahead. In a way that felt unfair, in the last 5 years.
And listen, man, Great Britain is unfair to black people, man. Everything about this place is unfair to black people. And that's what European supremacy is, man. Them putting their self above you and you becoming brought down low and you doing all the dirty work and you doing all the jobs nobody else wants to do and you being racial profiled. Go ahead.
The survey found that, Zakia, more than twice the proportion of white males, 80%, who reported the same experience.
Listen, man, white people don't know about this experience that we go through, man. Right. They won't understand, man, until Jesus Christ comes back, man. Right. When Jesus Christ comes back, that's when they're gonna understand what real racism is. Right. And that's what's gonna happen when they know what being overlooked for promotion is. That's when they're gonna know about school dinners. That's when they're gonna know, man. They're gonna have school dinners. We're gonna give them a quarter of a sandwich and a shot glass of water, and that's enough for the day. That's when they're gonna realize. Go ahead.
The results show that ethnic minorities are 3 times as likely to have been thrown out of or denied entrance to a restaurant.
Listen, and that's true, man. When black people go to restaurants to find, you see, if you go to posh restaurants, like some of them posh restaurants like Hakkasan, Nobu, which other expensive ones is there? You should know, you live around there. You got which ones you got? Hakkasan, Nobu. What's the next one called that everyone talks about? Listen, you got all these rappers talk about them. I just heard about them. I don't know. You got Hakkasan, you got Nobu. All these posh restaurants, really, they don't like to let black people in. But they let them in because what? They know that, all right, black people is kind of loose with their money and they're going to spend. But really, if they had it their way, they wouldn't let you in. And this is why some restaurants, they come to the door and say, oh, you can't come in today. One time in Crawford, I don't know what we was thinking. We went to the Rolex shop. Remember, we went to the Rolex shop. By the time we got through the door, the security guard jumped in front of us. They said, no, you can get it cheaper elsewhere. You can get it cheaper elsewhere. That's what he said. I'm thinking, we're just looking. Even things like that, they don't even want. You see high-end shops. They don't want you to come in them, man. They don't want you to go in their jewelry stores and so forth. Read on.
Khan. Restaurant, bar or club.
Bar or club. And they don't want to let us in the clubs, man. Like we said, we go to the club, and this is why now, this is what we say before we go out. Now, this is what we say. We have like 4 backup plans because we know we're not going to get into the first one. So we have like 4 backup plans. If we don't get into 101, we're going to try stories. If we don't get into stories, we're going to try looks. And then when all else fails, our last one is sugar sweet. And that's where we end up. That's where we usually end up because we don't get into all the others. And that's what these clubs do, man. They turn you away. And also, so they turn you away from the club. But when you look in them clubs, whose music are they playing? Our music, man. It's our music that they're playing. They ain't playing opera and all of those things in there. They're playing all our rappers. They're playing all Drake, Beyonce. They're playing all our music, but they don't want to let us in the club. If you don't want to let us in the club, don't play our music in there either then if that's the case. But like I said, they only love you for what they can get from you. Right. And then they know that really it's black people why everyone goes to the club. If we didn't go, no one would want to go because nobody else. I mean, black people, we go to clubs. Our oppressors, they go to discos and whatnot. That's what they do. They do discos and ballroom dancing and they do bingo and all of those. That's what they do. We don't do those things, man. We go to clubs. Read on.
The I.S.U.P.K commissioned to launch a week-long investigation into a bias in Britain, focuses on everyday experience and prejudice that could be a result of unconscious bias.
And listen, man, most of these people is unconsciously racist. Like, it's just so normal for them to be racist that they do it unconsciously. Go ahead.
Unconscious bias, quick decisions, conditioned by background, cultural environment, and personal experiences.
And listen, this racism ain't personal to one black person. It's all of us, man. Whether we want to lie and say no one's been racist to me, they have, man. We try to save them all the time and say they haven't been racist to us, when every day they're racist to us, man. Every single day. Go ahead.
Khan, it is believed to be the first major piece of UK public polling.
And they're so racist that when they see us, they assume that we don't have a job. Like, they just assume we ain't got a job. Even you go into their shops, they assume, how could this guy possibly have a job? And so forth.
To focus on ethnic minorities, experiences to unconscious bias, and comes amid wider concerns about the shortage of research capturing the views of minority groups. The poll found comprehensive evidence to support concerns that unconscious bias has a negative effect on the lives of Britain. 8.5 million people from minority backgrounds that is not revealed by typical data on racism.
So most of these things you can't even find research on it because it doesn't make the data, but it happens in everyday life. Now everyone can relate to it. Not being able to get into a club, not being able to get into a restaurant, being on the train. The train ticket man comes to look at your ticket first, wants to see if yours is in date. Meanwhile, everybody else is ain't in date. Everybody else gets away with everything except us. I mean, being stopped by the police based on the color of your skin and whatnot. Go ahead.
For example,
I'm gonna go ahead and let Shamgar just break down this slide for me. Go ahead.
All right, let's give Officer Dungabar a hand. I don't want to bring out some heavy fire right there. You know what I mean? But we're gonna start with Officer Shamgar, Officer 50. You know what I'm saying, of the I.S.U.P.K UK. We're gonna bring out some heavy stuff right now to add on to what the other ones just brought out, right? So just read this for me, other ones, Slack.
38% of people from ethnic minorities said they had been found wrongfully suspected of shoplifting in the last 5 years.
Right.
Compared with 14% of white people, with black people and women in particular more likely to be wrongfully suspected.
So in everyday life, we know as black people, blacks and Hispanics, we know that we suffer this every day. Every day we go to a shop, go to any shop, clothing shop, food shop, anything we go, the security is always looking at us. That's even right. Me, when I work security in certain stores, I know already they're like, cool, they look, what's I.S.U.P.K? And obviously, in general, that's what we deal with in the community of people. You know what I mean? That's how we're targeted mainly, and their kids, their young ones can run up and down, cause the most havoc in the stores, and the security would know them like by their face. But yet, even still, they're still saying to watch the I.S.U.P.K. But read on, Select.
Minorities were more than twice as likely to have encountered abuse or rudeness from a stranger in the last week. So,
like, especially in London, where I'm from, London especially, you walk on the street, you're gonna encounter all manner of rudeness. You're gonna when you're sitting on the bus and you got your bag right there, instead of saying, "Excuse me, can you please?" Nah, this, that, and the third. Nah, they're just gonna be like, "Can you move your?" They don't even say anything. They just use their hand and be like, "Can you move yourself?" And obviously, me now, the spirit I have, I'm looking at them like this. I'll stand there, I'll sit there like this, watching them, because you know that's certain people, they'll put up with it, but our people need to learn that this is the way we're treated in the society, and white supremacy is ingrained, as anyone brought out. It's already ingrained into the system. If you read on,
53% of people from a minority background believe they had been treated differently because of their hair, clothes, or appearance, compared to 29% of white people.
Right, so just because of the way you look, it's because of your natural style, the natural braids in your hair, the natural skin that you and roll with, the clothes that you wear, how your style that you come with, that everyone copies. Yeah, they're gonna, you know what I mean? Everyone copies, you know what I mean? But they're still gonna get you based on that, just because of the way you look. Oh, he looks like this way, he looks that way. But so, like, if you roll to the next slide,
Black Caribbean ethnic groups, facts and figures.
Right.
26.9% of Black Caribbean pupils achieve grade 5 or above in English and Maths GCSEs. 15.8% point less than white British pupils.
So
at 42.7%.
So generally in the education system, right, our young youths, our Bunyamian children are suffering from low grades, right? But then they pull it as a statistic like that, how they put it right there. But when we look into the details and actually look at the context of how things are in the school system, and we look at our schools, right? We know they're run down. You got 60 kids packed up into one room. You got the worst equipment, worst schools, worst food, worst everything in the school. But yet they expect when the white kids now, they got the best schools and the best everything, the best equipment, you know what I'm saying, the best education. But yet, if you get me a scripture real quick, get me Deuteronomy 28 and verse 48 real quick. Because this is why in the society today that we as blacks and Hispanics have to suffer and serve these people for one of all things. Let's get that real quick. Come on, sir.
Deuteronomy 28 and 48. Therefore, thou shalt serve thine enemies.
So the Lord said, the most High's children will serve thine enemies. Read.
Therefore, thou shalt serve thine enemies, which the Lord shall send against thee,
right,
in hunger and in thirst and in nakedness And in the want of all things.
So in the want of all things that we need as a people, we're going to serve our enemies. We want education, as we can see right here. We want to go buy our food and our clothing, as you need to do every day, as everyone's got to do. We got to go to these people. And when we're amongst these people, we suffer these things right here. Our kids don't learn how they should be learning in school. Our kids get the worst education. You understand? We get the worst food. We get the worst treatment in our communities that we have. And yet these heathens make money off of us. So like, if you can read on where we at?
3.5% of Black Caribbean pupils achieved at least 3 A grades at A levels, compared to 10.9% of white British pupils. This was the lowest percentage of all ethnic groups.
So again, the lowest of all ethnic groups in England is proving that we're the Most High's chosen people, because only we will suffer these things. Even though the African man and the Indian man and the Arab man, them mans are in school too. They're suffering too. They're ethnic minorities, as you can see, but we're suffering more than them. Why? Because we're treated less than them. Even though they're brown skin, they're dark skin, but they're not our people, and that goes into the European supremacy that the other one was bringing out. If you could read on.
Black Caribbean pupils are almost 3 times as likely to be permanently excluded as white British pupils. 0.28% were permanently excluded, compared with 0.10% of white British pupils in England 2016 and 17.
So that's what it is. I mean, you know what I'm saying? With the white kids, they always get the slap on the wrist. So the other one they always get brought to that corner room, and the teacher will be like, oh yeah, you know what? He's just having a bad time, or he's got ADHD, or he's got this or that. But the black kids, there's no mercy. They look at us as anything and however they treat us. But so like, if you get me the precept, Deuteronomy 28 and 37, because this is the mindset of the people that we have, even the education. And how they treat us in the school system, how they and back if we back up on the thing we just read earlier about how more likely to get more treated unfairly in when you go into the stores and treated to be so like, what was the word they used to be treated unfairly in the schools, as well as when we read about earlier about being falsely accused. So that's what I meant to say, falsely accused in the shops that we go to. So you can read that.
28:37, and thou shalt become an astonishment, a proverb, and a byword. So
the children of Israel, which is the Black, Spanish, and Native Americans, specifically in this land, we're talking about the Benjamites specifically, you know what I'm saying? We become a proverb, which is a wise saying, but a wise saying with a negative term, you know what I'm saying? Look at these blacks, man. They're always stealing, they're always in gangs, they're always smoking weed, you know what I'm saying? Generalizing us in that context. But it's like, if you read on.
And a byword among all these nations.
Among who?
All these nations.
Among every nation that we look at in the streets, the East Indian, the Arab man, the Romanian man, every nation we look around, the white man, these are the people that look down upon us, and the Chinese man as well. You know what I'm saying? When we go in their stores, they treat us the same way. So like, if you could
in 2011, there was 59,594 and 8,200 Black Caribbean people in England and Wales, making up 1.1% of the total population. So we only make up the 1.1% of the total population, but yet our percentages of failures and such is much higher than the rest of them. Understand? So like, if you can the next slide. Right, so like, as you can see, so look, we got arrests and we got fear of crime, right? Remember, I read earlier the precept of Deuteronomy 28 and 37, how we're going to be a byword and a proverb among all these nations, because all these nations will look down upon the children of Israel. And this mindset is engulfed in the society that we live in. If you read that.
Black Caribbean people were 3.8 times as likely to be arrested as white British people.
3.8 times likely to be arrested as white people. Read on.
There were 38 arrests for every 1,000 Black Caribbean people.
38 arrests for every 1,000 of Black people. You understand? And it says specifically Black Caribbean people, because we know there's a difference between us and the African. Understand that. For them fake groups out there teaching that lies, wearing their purple, teaching about how blacks and Africans are the same, and to put us in one category. No. Children of Israel are the same, similar color as the so-called Hamites, the so-called Africans, right? But understand this: only we suffer these things. Black Caribbean people, the tribe of so-called Bunyamyan, our people are suffering these things. If you read on for me, please.
The highest out of all ethnic groups.
Out of who?
Out of all ethnic.
All ethnic groups. Understand that. Those so-called Africans ain't suffering that. Those so-called Arab man ain't suffering that. When you want to put on that man dress and love them, they're not suffering what you're suffering. Because why? They're not the children of Israel. Read on.
Compared with 10 arrests for every 1,000 white British people.
Wow. 10 arrests. Go on, read on.
England and Wales, 217 to 280.
England and Wales, you understand? For this whole so-called UK. That's what's happened to the people of the Most High. Read this paragraph for me real quick.
The arrest rate for Black Caribbean people decreased from 81%, 1,000 people in 2006 to 2007, to 38% per 1,000 people in 2017 to 2018.
Read on.
This is a larger decrease than that seen for white British people.
Right. You see that? And remember, it's specifying what black people it is. It's not saying no damn Africans. It's saying those Caribbeans, those Israelites. That's what it's talking about. If you hold what you got real quick and get me Deuteronomy 28 and verse 65 real quick, because the scriptures talk about this, and this is what we're bringing out is that. It's what I'm saying. The white supremacy of this land has never changed, and it's always been that way. And there's a reason why. Read that for me.
Deuteronomy 28, 65. And among these nations, thou shalt find no ease.
So when we go to the shop, we'll find what?
No ease.
Whenever we go to get food, clothing, and water, we'll get what?
No ease.
Whenever we want to walk on the street and just to go to our having our daily doing what we do in our days, we'll find what?
No ease.
And we'll get stopped. We'll get arrested. We'll get harassed. You understand? Because the scripture say we'll have no ease. The children of Israel will have no ease. Read on.
Neither shall the sole of thy foot find rest.
And that's how we work the hardest. The other one brought his grandparents had to come here in the 50s or 60s and work 3 jobs, and yet they still earn those 3 jobs earn less than the white man who had 1 job. Among these nations, we will find no ease. Right. No ease, because why? We're the children of the Most High. Read on. So like, right. Yeah, come on.
Find no ease, but the Lord shall give thee a trembling of heart and failing of eyes. You
see a trembling heart and failing eyes because why? You've got the police watching us every second.
That's right.
Every minute our young brothers are on the street, walking on the road, they're at risk of being harassed or physically abused by the police or the so-called justice system. So like if you could read Fear of Crime for me.
28% of Black Caribbean people said they thought they were likely to be a victim of crime in the next year.
You hear that? Because why? If you read that last end of the precept again, because we will find no ease in what? So like
the Lord shall give thee a trembling of heart.
A trembling of heart. Because it said 28% of Black Caribbean people said they thought they were more likely to be victims of crime in the next year. Because why? We were trembling of heart. Because we know how we're depressed in this land. How our foreparents came here in the Windrush to suffer only oppression. And yet all the work we put in to build this land up to make it as great as it so-called is, our oppression still stands. So if you go to the next slide. Right. That's it. Yeah, go on. That's
Societal racism is the formalization of a set of institutional, historical, cultural.
So cultural, historical. So historically, they have always oppressed our people. Right. Historically, always. And any black man or Hispanic man that denies that is a fool of evidently. Culturally, that's their way. In the scripture it says that Esau has always a perpetual hatred for the children of Israel. That's in their blood, it's in their culture, it's in their way. Read on.
And interpersonal practices within a society that more often than not puts one social or ethnic group in a better position to succeed.
So and one, go on.
At the same time, disadvantages other groups.
So at the same time as putting that one race on top, it does what? It disadvantages other groups. Right. That's how it's going to be in the kingdom when Christ returns, when Yahushua comes back. You understand? When Yahushua comes back, we're going to be that race on top, and those other nations, those heathens, are going to be at the very bottom. Read on.
In and constant matter that this part writes.
Just jump to the supremacy, yeah? So that.
Supremacy, the state or condition of being superior to all others in authority, power, or status.
That's what I'm saying. That's the superiority that they have among us over us right now as a people. But eventually, that will change. The tables will turn. You know what I'm saying? When Yahushua comes back, those tables will turn. But as of right now, in the reality that we must live in, we must understand as blacks and Hispanics, we must understand that this is the reality we live in. Social racism and the supremacy, the white supremacy, European supremacy that we've faced from the 1400s to now, you understand, it's still relevant and it's still happening. But brothers and sisters want to stay in the clouds and they want to forget about that. But these are day-to-day things that you brought out. Day-to-day, your kids going to school, being expelled more, getting low grades. Our brothers just walking the street, probably going to their job, right? Going to their slave that pays them too little, still getting harassed by the police, so they're late for that job. You understand? This is day-to-day. But this is the reality that we need to come up with. You know what I'm saying? The next slide, you got the next slide, right? Or is that it should be come on, it should be one more.
Scientific racism.
Right, give Shamgar a hand.
Come on.
Don't worry, Shamgar's got a lecture coming up soon. We just ain't decided what it is. He's got one coming up. We just don't know what it is yet. But this is scientific racism. So Shamgar broke down about how black people is oppressed by the police and whatnot. So now this is scientific racism, which is also another form of racism where they believe scientifically we are inferior. Read that for me if you could. So they used to say that a black man was half, I believe they said he was half monkey and half Greek? That's what they used to say, man. Black man was half monkey and half Greek. But read that for me.
Scientific racism is a pseudo-scientific belief that empirical evidence exists to support or justify racism.
So scientifically, they said these people are so inferior that it justifies racism. They said these people are so inferior that us enslaving them is justified and it's not a bad thing. Because this thing did actually exist, scientific racism, but now they're trying to say, oh, it's obsolete, it don't exist no more. Go ahead.
Racial discrimination, racial inferiority, or racial superiority.
So they done some scientific studies and said some people are superior and some people are inferior. They've done some studies, said some people are better than others. Some people are stronger, some people are weaker. Go ahead.
Historically, scientifically, racism received credence throughout the scientific community, but it is no longer considered scientific.
So now it's no longer considered scientific, but there was a time when this was considered scientific.
Right.
A time when they said, you know what, one people's inferior, so they done all these tests, and everybody knows about I can't remember what it's called, but there's a book where they take black people and try medicines on them, and they try all these things on them and see how they operate towards it.
Go ahead. Scientific racism employs astrological anthropology.
And anthropology, does anyone know what anthropology is? Anyone know what it is? Go ahead.
It's like when you're researching countries.
Yeah, it's more like basically you researching people's behavior. So that's what anthropology is like. They're working out your behavior and they're seeing, why do black people behave like this? Why do black people do this? Why do they do that? And then they would look at our culture and laugh at it and mock it and whatnot and be like, nah, these people deserve to be slaves. And based off scientific racism, that's what they've done. But go ahead.
Notably, physical anthropology, anthropometry,
And that's near enough the same thing. Go ahead.
and craniometry.
And craniometry is where they look at you, where they look at your brain and you know what I mean, the shape of your head and whatnot. So that's what they do, look at the shape of your head. They also done it with the Egyptians, and that's how they realized that we wasn't African because our craniums weren't the same.
Right.
So when you look at that there, that's how they done it. So they look at our craniums and listen, man, our cranium don't even look like this. That's a lie, man. Ours don't even look like that. So they'll do all of that stuff, and then based off that, this is where they came up with the stuff like, oh, black people's got no bone in their nose, and that's what they used to say. They used to say, if you're fighting a black person, don't hit them in the nose because they got no bone there and whatnot. So that's the kind of things that they used to say. So they came with all of this based off that. Go ahead.
And other disciplines or
One sec.
persuadable disciplines in proposing anthropology type human populations into physical, discrete human races that might be asserted to be superior or inferior.
So now, based off what they came back from their scientific studies, it was based on who is inferior and superior. So what they done is they basically said that they said they're superior based off their findings and whatnot. Go ahead.
Historically, scientific racism received credence throughout the scientific community.
It's about
Right here. Typology supporting the classification of human populations to physically discrete human races that might be asserted to be superior or inferior. Scientific racism was common during the period of the 1600s.
So it was common during the 1600s, scientific racism. So they took you based on what they found as scientific racism. People say, oh, not every white man's racist. But listen, man, every black man ended up on that slave ship, man. Surely some of us was coons, but still ended up on that slave ship. So it lets you know that obviously it doesn't matter what you was and whatnot. So when people try and save them and say, oh, some of them are good, listen, man, surely some of us was good as well. Listen, man, my grandma was good and still ended up in England, man. So obviously it lets you know they didn't care, so why should we care? Go ahead.
To the end of World War II.
And basically after World War II, that's when they said, oh, this is nonsense, it's garbage. But before that, they used this to justify you as a slave. And then now people see that they've dropped these little things and people think that means racism's over. But once they drop these things, they're just racist to you in another way. So they get rid of this way and pick up somewhere else. Next slide.
A new study suggests
Read from that side.
white liberals dumb themselves down when they speak to black people.
Listen, man, that's no word of a lie, man. White people dumb themselves down when they speak to black people. When white people speak to black people, they use like different kind of words. And being black, everywhere you go, people dumb themselves down when they speak to you. Say, for instance, you're a black man and you start a new job. What happens? You have some Asian or some white man come up to you saying, yeah, you see, with this job is chilling. They try and get you on they think you look like a gangster and a criminal, so they try and tell you all the wrong things. Yeah, you can rub this and blah 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 blah. Whereas if you was a white man, they speak to you professionally. That's what they do, man. First, when I started this job, they said to me, oh, if you want to hide out, just go sit on the stairs and do no work. That's what they say to me. That's racist in a way, because they wouldn't say this to a white man in a suit. They would give him how to do the job properly. But when it comes to black people, when they teach you how to cut corners, because they think we're criminals, and they also dumb themselves down when you go to ASDA, especially when you're in ASDA, and if there's a young boy on the checkouts, he'll be polite to the white people, and when he hears you, he thinks he can talk all road to you. Listen, I want some professional talking to. He thinks he can talk road to you, and he thinks he doesn't need to use his manners because he looks at you as a criminal, and he thinks you and him are the same. And that's just based off racism, man. That's just based on him. That's based on him looking at you. He wouldn't do that with Prince Harry. He wouldn't see Prince Harry and call him blood. He wouldn't call Prince Harry. He's got a job to do. How's he calling me blood and he's got a job to do? He's meant to speak professional to me, man. And this is what it says: white liberals dumb themselves down when they speak to black people. Everywhere you go, just dumb themselves down. Even when you're a black man in an Uber, the Uber driver dumbs himself down. He starts talking to you or ghetto how he wouldn't usually talk to someone. He starts talking in terms they wouldn't usually use. And this is what they do, man. That's another form of racism, because they see black people as criminals. So yeah, we can talk to them anyhow. They even do it with our women. When our women go to these East Indian shops, what does the East Indian try and do? Try and talk patois to them. Tries and talks it to them. Now, could we talk their language to their women? They wouldn't allow it. But they feel like they can. And it's a shame that we even have to go buy a yam and banana from them, man. It's a shame. What do they know about yam and banana and time and all these things? Listen, I went to the Indian man shop. He's trying to tell me which yam's ripe. I looked at him like, you don't know which yam's ripe, man. He's trying to tell me this green banana's ripe. I said, nah, this one ain't ripe. Trying to tell me what plantains I should buy and whatnot. And this is what they do, man. You go to their shop and they try and speak down to you and try and speak patois and try and dumb everything down, man. This is what they do to us. You can see it in everyday life, everywhere where you go, every job you go, they do that as well. Read on.
A new study suggests that the words you use may depend on whether the club secretary's name is Emily.
So if the secretary's name is Emily, you believe it's a white woman. So what happens? They will email Emily with a nice response, nice polite response. They'll speak to Emily with big words because Emily sounds professional. Emily sounds like she's got a few degrees behind her and she's got a job. Go ahead.
Right. A stereotypically white name.
And that's a stereotypically white name. Go ahead.
As the study says, or Lakeisha.
Oh, Lakeisha sounds like Lakeisha sounds like she's got 3 baby fathers,
Right.
black woman,
Right.
no job. So that's how they see it. She's got 3 baby fathers, no job, loudmouth, just gets their nails done every week and runs their mouth. So they dumb it down. They'll be like, why do we need to give Lakeisha a proper response? So based off the name, they're already being racist. Go ahead.
A stereotypically black name. If you're a white liberal writing to Emily, you might use the words like.
So if you're a white liberal writing to Emily, a white person, you might use words like, God, it's lucky I don't know how to pronounce it myself, but anyone know how to pronounce this? I got you. You what? Yeah, see, no one even knows how to pronounce it. See, I think this is probably why they dumb it down for us, because then we'll be reading this like, what does this mean? We're thinking, what does this mean? Go ahead.
Or you to describe the mood of the book, whereas you might trade these terms out for the simpler, sad or happy.
So instead of how is it how you pronounce it? Melancholy. Instead of them saying melancholy to a black person, they'll just say, oh yeah, the mood's happy or sad. So they dumb it down when they're speaking to black people. And let them dumb it down, man. We don't want to use them silly words anyway. Like if that's another word for happy or sad, just give me happy or sad. We're gonna get to the same place anyway. I don't need to say I'm melancholy or whatever the hell it means or whatever it is. They could just use normal words, but go ahead.
If you're corresponding with Lakeisha.
So because Lakeisha's a black name, they automatically assume Lakeisha's dumb. Lakeisha don't understand big words. Not realizing loads of these black women is smart and have got degrees on top of degrees, man. Loads of these women got degrees on top of degrees and have studied for years. And they're smarter than Emily. To me, Emily sounds like a cokehead to me. So I would use small. I wouldn't even reply to Emily. Like Emily wouldn't get a response from me. I'll just read her email and assume, oh, she's on drugs. That's why she sent me an email in the first place. That's what I would do. So they look at Lakeisha like Lakeisha's dumb. She's got no degrees, just basic words. But next slide. And this is another type of racism. This is cultural racism. So now we're going to read about cultural racism.
Cultural racism, sometimes called neo-racism, new racism, or different racism. Racism is a concept.
So all these is different names for cultural racism. And believe me, cultural racism does exist. Go ahead.
Is a concept that has been applied to prejudice and discriminate based on culture differences.
So now the race is to you based on your culture. The race is to you based on what you do and so forth. So the race is to you towards all those things. Read on.
Between ethnic or racial groups.
Between what?
Ethnic or racial groups.
So the race is towards ethnic or racial groups. So they're racist towards black people because of our culture. So a black man with cane rolls and a beard, they don't want to give him a job because they're saying you need to get rid of that. And obviously they have a certain dress code, how they want you to be. They don't want you to be black. You have to dumb yourself down and dress how they would want you to dress. Read on.
This includes the idea that some cultures are superior to others.
That what?
That some cultures are superior to others.
And their culture, they believe theirs is superior to yours. So when they see you come to an interview with cane rolls and a beard, they're basically saying you're already disqualified from the job, man. Because they're saying that your culture is inferior to theirs and their culture is superior. Go ahead.
And that various cultures are fundamentally incompatible and should not coexist.
Hold on, and should what?
And should not coexist.
Listen, man, they don't want black men's culture to coexist, man. They don't want a black man to be black no more. Our culture shouldn't coexist. And guess what happens? If you look at every religion and all these Israelite groups outside of the I.S.U.P.K, they've basically gave up their culture, man. And this is why a ton of them all of them dress how they dress in the Christian church, man. All of them is looking looking like all working class men, all neatly shaven, looking all smart with books under their arm. And then when they look at us like, damn, look at them. These like ain't got jobs. They look at us like we're bums. We ain't got jobs. Because obviously we just ain't gave up our culture. But obviously, what our oppressors going to do is make our culture so bad and shouldn't coexist. So this is why people want us to not have our culture and say, why are you like so black? Because this is the only place in the face of the earth, only organization in the face of the earth where you can still be a black man and it holds some credit, man. Where you still can talk like you're black, listen to black music, and behave black. Everywhere else, you have to behave like a white man, man. Like you look at the Nation of Islam, they're all suited and booted, man, with ties and whatnot. But next slide. And this is cultural racism, man. This is a 12-year-old boy. It's our culture to have cane rolls. They're basically saying this boy shouldn't have cane rolls or he's going to get suspended from school. Meanwhile, these white boys can come to school with a mohawk. They can have a mohawk. What other hairs? They can have the quiff that they push to that side. They can have the neck. What's the one that? What's the one that David Beckham had years ago? The one where he had the curtains. Curtains. I think David Beckham had the curtains. Now they can go to school with all of those, but a black man can't go to school with cane rolls because they don't want our culture to coexist. They want our culture to be done away with, and they want us to follow their culture. And then what will happen is, if that was the case, 100 years from now, we would just all be white men with dark skin, and that's what they want to happen. But read on.
A 12-year-old boy has been put in isolation.
So they put him in isolation, man, not because he's done something wrong, but because of his culture. He wants to be a black man, man. Let him be a black man, but he can't have his culture, man. Because this place is racist. I thought England was diverse. Don't sound diverse to me.
Right.
If it was diverse, he would be allowed to go to school with his cane rolls, man. And I'd be allowed to go to my job like this, man, if this country was diverse. But no, they make say we have to put on a suit and a blazer and whatnot, because this country ain't diverse, man. Read on.
A 12-year-old boy has been put in isolation after his school deemed that his cornrows were an extreme haircut.
So this is an extreme. This ain't extreme, man. You know what is extreme? These terrorists, man. That's extreme. You know what is extreme? The white man's extreme, man. Putting people on slave ships, that's extreme, man. Throwing people overboard, that's extreme. But cane rolls ain't extreme, man. It's just a black man's culture. Read on.
Lamar She Simpson was hauled out of lessons last week after turning up with his dark afro locks.
Listen, they even called it his dark afro locks, like they want him to dye them. Is it meant to dye them? Is it his fault that his hair's dark? With his dark afro locks, like what color do they want his hair to be? Like, is it meant to dye his hair? How about I find it offensive that there's people with blonde hair at my job? Right. I find it with their bright yellow locks. Then if that's the case, read on.
After turning up with his dark afro locks.
They're saying dark afro locks like his hair's not naturally black, as to say he needs to dye his hair.
In cornrows, and has been told he cannot return to class until he has his hair cut into a regulation style.
Listen, man, they want him to cut his hair into a different style, which is basically saying they want him to get rid of culture, man. He needs to change his whole style. He's only going to school to learn. Who cares what his hair's like? If people can be in the classroom with mohawks, he should be allowed in there with his cane rolls. Right. Go ahead.
Mom Selena Bayat, 43, said, "I couldn't believe it. Lamar is dual heritage."
His mom was Caucasian and his dad's a black man. Go ahead. That's a new one, dual heritage. Should have said mixed race, dual heritage. Should have just said mixed race.
and has afro hair. Anyone who has afro hair or has seen Lamar's will know he doesn't have too many options in terms of style.
So because he's got afro hair, he don't have too many options, meaning what? He can't get curtains. He can't get a quiff like what them white boys have. He can't have that David Beckham haircut, the one where he's got the curtains on the top. He can't have hair like Ibrahimovic and those footballers because he's black. He can't have that style. So he can't have many styles. So cane rolls is what he could have, and that's what he wanted. And they said no. Next slide. Now this is another black boy, but dreadlocks ain't our culture. This isn't our culture, but this is another boy that said he can't have dreadlocks. So read this one as well.
Mother of boy ordered to cut dreadlocks.
So this is his hairstyle. His mom was a Rastafarian. His mom said this is his culture. This is his beliefs. They said he has to cut his dreadlocks, man. They wouldn't let him in school because he's got dreadlocks. Go ahead.
of order to cut dreadlocks, accuses school of racial discrimination.
And this was discrimination, man. His mom wanted him to have that hairstyle because of their belief in their religion. They say no, they can't have it. Go ahead. Just skip the name and go to that.
Tuesday, Flanders claims Fulham Boys School in London told her son.
And all these things is close by, man. This is in England. This is in London. This is a new article. This ain't even that old. This is a few years old. Go ahead.
Chicken Zid 12 would be placed in isolation if he didn't cut it.
And they said he's going to go into isolation if he don't cut his hair, which means what? They're trying to get rid of your culture, man. They're trying to say, okay, then you can't have no education unless you conform and dress like us. So you have to get rid of your hair. That's what they said to him. Go ahead.
As a result, the 12-year-old was taught separately.
And they actually put him in isolation and taught him separately, man. They taught him separately because he had dreadlocks and they said, nope, we're not having that in our schools because they've got a code where they want all their boys to be blonde and mohawks. And basically, they're no different to Hitler. You see how Hitler wanted everyone to look the same? They want everyone else to look the same. They don't want black people to come different. Go ahead.
Separately on Monday, and now faces a prospect of suspension.
Hold on, they're going to do what?
A prospect of suspension.
So they're going to suspend the 12-year-old boy because of his hairstyle. If this place ain't racist, I don't know. Right. Listen, you like tell me this ain't racist, I'll just turn the lecture off now and I'll just go. Turn the lecture off now. Go ahead.
From the Munn Street School. The school says it has strict uniform and appearance policy.
So it says it has a strict uniform and appearance policy. I thought this place was diverse and cultural diverse and all cultures is meant to mix and we're all meant to have our own culture. It don't sound like it to me. It sounds like when a black man wants to do something, he gets suspended, man, and he gets put into isolation.
Right, go ahead. And is handling the case as a social issue rather than a religious one.
They're handling it as a what?
A social issue rather than a religious one.
A social issue rather than a religious one. Meanwhile, an East Indian can have a turban and a knife, man. Right. He can come into the school with a turban and a knife, and I have to fear for my safety, man. I don't know if one day I'm a blazeman is going to pull out that knife. Let me come to school with a knife, man. Guess what will happen? They'll call the police on me, man. Right. He gets to carry a knife because what? It's his culture. And they don't let black people have a culture. Next slide. This is another one. Read this one.
Black men are fighting workplace discrimination over beards and dreadlocks.
Listen, man, we pulled more than one article saying the same thing. Black men are fighting over what? Beards and dreadlocks, man. Meaning what? They want you to get rid of your beard. And in jobs, they say to you, oh, you have to shave, you have to shave. Years ago, man, I think I was about 16, 17. I went to McDonald's years ago. And the reason I got sacked from there is because what? I refused to shave my beard, man. And they got rid of me from there, man. When really, if I knew, I would have went to the tribunal and played I would have pulled up everything. But I just left and said, okay then. Meanwhile, I had Arabs with big beards, man, working there. Listen, if I have to shave, listen, I'm black, my beard don't even grow a lot, man. Them East Indians had hair all over there. They should have shaved their arms, man. How are they serving McDonald's and they got all these hairy arms? And I just had a little bit of beard on my face. Meanwhile, they can have a hairy arm, look like a bear, and no one cared about that, man. They still got to work there. I even offered to wear one of them beard nets and the store wouldn't accept it. So I just walked out of there, but I read that one.
One of the latest cases involves a former University of Pennsylvania police officer who filed a racial discrimination lawsuit, which includes a complaint that his bosses harassed him for not complying with facial hair standards. And
listen, man, what does being a police officer have to do with you shaving your beard off, man? He's doing a job. His beard ain't going to get in the way of his job, man. How's it going to get in the way of his job? They should just leave him be. Go ahead.
Officers have to be clean cut, except for moustaches or short sideburns.
And they're saying except short sideburns because they know black people ain't just going to have sideburns, man. Which black man's just going to have sideburns, man? Like they're saying all of that. It don't make no sense. Go ahead.
Joseph Lewis, a 6-year vet of the force, however, suffered from razor bumps.
And it's a common thing that black men suffer from razor bumps when they shave their beard. Right. And the reason that is because God don't want us shaving our beard. Right. So that's why it says in the Bible, don't shave your beard. Right. And then when we do shave our beard and not listen to God, we get razor bumps, whereas everybody else don't get razor bumps. Right. They're fine and nothing. Whereas black men get the big bumps and they just look disgusting, which means just don't shave your beard. Go ahead.
Which made it painful to shave.
And it made it painful to shave. So he tried to conform to what they wanted him to conform to. He tried to get rid of his culture and do what they wanted him to do. And he got razor bumps for it, man. Go ahead.
The condition is common in about 60% of African American men.
Listen, that means the Lord's telling you something, man.
Right.
If razor bumps is only affecting you, it means obviously as a nation we ain't meant to be shaving.
Right. Or people with coarse curly hair.
And that's us, man. We the people with coarse curly hair, man. Jesus Christ had coarse curly hair. Go ahead.
According to the American College,
Go ahead.
the Penn police offer an exception to its shaving requirements for medical reasons.
So they said, all right, then you don't have to shave for medical reasons. This man having shaving bumps, that is a medical reason why he couldn't shave. Guess what? That weren't good enough for them. Go ahead.
Although Lewis complied with the process for getting a waiver,
He got a waiver. A waiver is what? Something that makes you exempt from something. He got a waiver to say he should be exempt from shaving. Go ahead.
that just wasn't good enough for them.
And listen, this waiver wasn't good enough for them, man. This waiver weren't good enough for them. They wanted more than that. Go ahead.
And no paid employment policy can be racially discriminatory if it is not job related and has a negative impact of the employment of African American men who have predisposition to a skin condition.
So this man had a skin condition from it, but next slide. So listen, this man's allowed to work for the Queen like this. Listen, so what? This man is allowed to work for the Queen looking like this. Exactly. This man is allowed to work for the Queen with a turban on, a beard, and whatnot. And he's working for the Queen. This black man ain't working for the Queen and can't keep his culture. These black kids is in school and can't keep their culture. But this man is allowed to work for the Queen with swords and look like a terrorist and look like he's about to blow everyone up from the inside. And no one says nothing to him. This man don't have to shave his beard. This man, they honor his culture, but with black people, they don't respect us, man. They don't respect black people, but they respect him. Next slide. Read these definitions for me.
Heritage. Property that is or may be inherited, an inheritance.
That's what heritage is, something that you inherit, something that you get, that which is passed on from your fathers and whatnot. Jump to the ethnicity side.
Ethnicity. The fact or state of belonging to a social group that has a common national or cultural tradition.
And based off our ethnicity, we have a cultural tradition, man.
Right.
And we should be allowed to follow our cultural tradition because our forefathers had a cultural tradition.
Right.
And now in 2020, they want us to get rid of this, man. Us not following our culture is basically us not following, having no ethnicity, man. Us cutting everything off. Next slide. And then these men here, they've kept their cultural ethnicity, man. These men right here, the generals, the UPK, these men here. These men here. Like these men right here. This is how we're supposed to be, man. These men they've kept their culture. They've kept what was passed on to them from their forefathers. They dress how we're supposed to dress. Now we're going to show you some men who haven't kept their ethnicity. Next slide. See, this look. This is how they want us to be. This is how they want us to be. This is how they want. Listen, this little one here looks upset. Look how upset this one looks, man. You can tell he wants his culture. This is the nation of Israel. Listen, black men don't even dress like this. This is how they want us to dress, man. Exactly. They want us to give up our culture of the beards and the braids and our dress code and just put on suits and ties like this. Like, look at these men. Look at all these young boys. This ain't look in suits and ties and exactly. Go ahead.
That's taking away the young men's word and spirit.
Exactly. Exactly. So what's gonna happen? These men are gonna grow up, have kids, and they're gonna do the same thing. And then before you know it, our ethnicity is gonna be gone. Our ethnicity ain't gonna exist no more, which is what things which is passed down through culture. Next slide. Let me show you some more. This is how they want us to be, man. Like this. This is how they want us to be. And then they want us to be like this, and I don't know what he's happy about because he's got nothing to be happy about in this place, man. And then if you're not being like this on the left, everything you say is racist. You're too aggressive. God loves everybody. Listen, man. Look at this picture, man. That's his God right behind him, man. Saying that God loves everybody. They want us to serve their God. They want us to follow Caesar Borgia, man. Exactly. I mean, look how happy he looks, man, with white Jesus behind him. He looks happy. He looks safe. Like, it looks like he's safe from harm. And honestly, if you're a black man waiting for white Jesus to come and save you, man, honestly, you're going to be in hell forever, man. You're going to be in hell forever. Here's the reason why we're in this situation. And I mean, white supremacy and European supremacy stems from white Jesus, because they teach you that the greatest man on the face of the earth is white, which tells you what? You can't ever be great. Which tells you the only way you can be great is by being like this white man, which means you have to give up your culture, give up your ethnicity, when really Jesus Christ was a black man, and every black man should strive to be like him. And they want us to be like this with these weird color ties and all of these things. Next slide. And look, man, this is who's meant to come and save us, man. Listen, this is who's meant to come and save us. Like, look, man, this is who they want us to bow down to. And they say that we're racist. This is racist, man. This is the racist thing on the face of the earth, teaching us that our king is a white man. That's a racist, man. Next slide. Next slide. I don't even need that one. Next slide. Yeah, and this is the definition of acting white. Read on. So now we're going to show you what acting white is, because a ton of black people act white to get by in life, man. And this is the definition of it. Go ahead.
In the United States, acting white is a pejorative term, usually applied to black people.
Usually applied to who?
Black people.
So listen, when black people start to behave like a white man, they know what you're doing, man. And they laugh at you behind closed doors for doing it.
Which refers to a person's perceived betrayal of their culture.
And you see those men we just showed you, the Nation of Islam, they betrayed their culture, man.
Right.
Christian church, they betrayed their culture, man.
Right.
Black Muslims betray their culture. And God gave us a culture which he wants us to keep. God don't want us acting Arab. He don't want us acting white.
Right.
Read on.
Which refers to a person's perceived betrayal of their culture by assuming the social expectations of white society.
And listen, man, they want us to have the same expectations of white society. This is what they say to us. Your whole life, they say to you, don't have kids until you got enough money. Listen, man, if that was the case, we would never, ever, ever have kids, man. Because we're never gonna have, we're never ever gonna have enough money, man. Listen, I have a kid every time I go to sleep, every time I go bed at night time. That's when the kid's made in my house, man. And guess what? I ain't got no money, and I got a ton of kids. But go ahead.
Success in education, in particular, depending on one's cultural background, can be seen as a form of selling out.
So obviously not the educational part, because it's good to get education, but you don't want to be a sellout. You don't want to get a good job and then turn your back on your people,
Right.
and start thinking you can move to the suburbs and start thinking the white side of Britain respects you and whatnot, because they don't respect you. And it's looked at as selling out, which technically is selling out. If you're black and you want to leave black people behind and move on. Like, look at all these rich celebrities. Like Chris Eubank's a black man, but he talks so.
Right.
Chris Eubank's the perfect example, man. Like Chris Eubank, he's gave up his ethnicity and his culture and everything. Go ahead.
By being disloyal to one's culture.
Now, if you're talking like Chris Eubank, you're being disloyal to your culture, man. If you behave like Chris Eubank, you're being disloyal to your culture. Because your culture is what? To be a black man, man. God didn't give it for you to be something else. Next slide. Now, this is the definition of wigger. Even when they call someone a wigger, really, they're disrespecting black people also. Read it for me.
Wigger or wigger is a racial slur for a white person of European ethnic origin who emulates the perceived mannerisms, language, and fashions associated with African American culture.
So they say wigger is the term used for a white person who copies black culture. And so lucky to the Manchester crew, but H is a wigger because he tries to he tries to be like us with all them raps and all of those things. He tries to rap like us, and guess what? He's getting further than all the black rappers are getting now. You look at his followers on Instagram; he's got way more than the rest of them. Why? Because he's white. Eminem's the same thing; wants to be us. And people say, "Oh, H can rap." It's only because of his skin color. It's because every black man raps. Every black man can rap, so it's not really that big of a deal when we rap. But go ahead.
Particularly hip hop. The term is.
Oh, go what you say? Skip it.
Comments of a white and nigger. The term nigger is a pejorative and is viewed as a racist insult and slur.
And listen, man, these nations copy us so much that now even Arabs called another Arab, yo, here's my nigger. Like they just use the term nigger like it's just nothing. Like when nigger just it relates to us because we're black people. They use it to white people like, yeah, here's my nigger, when really just which lets you know they copy everything that we do, copy everything we say. Go ahead.
One dictionary defines the term as slang, derogatory references to a white youth who adopt black youth culture by adopting speech.
So that's what they do. They call them wigger because they adopt our speech, meaning what? When they speak like us. Now, real white people look at those people as white trash. Like, why would you want to be black? That's how they look at them. They look down on them like, why would you want to be black?
Wearing its clothes and listening to its music. Another dictionary defines the term as offensive slang.
So it's an offensive slang. So when they call someone a wigger, they're saying it to offend them. They're trying to say, oh, you're acting like those black people. You're acting wild and crazy like those black people. So they call us, no, they call them a wigger. As to say, yo, you're white, but you're trying to be a nigger. And that's a derogatory term when they call them a wigger. Which means, but they're basically saying is, look, you're white. You're greater than these people, but you're trying to stoop down to their level and be like them. Go ahead.
Another dictionary defines the term as offensive slang referring to a white person, usually a teenager or young adult, who adopts a fashion and taste and often mannerisms.
And then says when they copy our mannerisms, which is what? Obviously, we put our hat to the back and the way we wear tracksuits. Like when black people wear tracksuits, it looks good and whatnot. When they put on tracksuits, they look chavvy and they wear those weird Adidas trainers and nothing matches. When a black man throws in a tracksuit, he puts it together well. But, go ahead.
And often the mannerisms considered typically of an urban black youth. Go ahead. The terms may be considered derogatory, reflecting stereotypes of African American, black British, and white culture, when used as a synonym of white trash.
So that's wigger just basically means white trash. And they're trying to say you're trying to be black, you trash because black people are trash. That's what this is basically saying in short. Go ahead.
The wannabe connotation may be used pejoratively, implying a failed attempt at cultural appropriation by a white person. It is also sometimes used in a racist manner by the white culture, not only belittling the person perceived as acting black.
So they're not only disrespecting the white person that's acting black. Go ahead.
But also demeaning black people and culture.
So they're also demeaning black people also and culture because they hate black people. So they've seen their people as, why would you want to behave like him? Why would you want to act like him? Why would you want to dress like him? Go ahead.
By proxy, it can also be seen as an exploitative by African Americans and seen as robbing black culture of the credit.
And listen, man, that's what H does, robs black culture of our credit, man. That's what Eminem did, rob black culture of the credit. Vanilla Ice, Bob Marley, Adele, Amy Winehouse, all of them rob black culture of the credit, man. Basically, I'm not going to read all of this, but this is some white boy that stabbed one of his friends to death. He got found not guilty, even though he was guilty. He got found not guilty. Also in the public gallery, his family, because there was a rich, wealthy family, they gave him the best seats in the court. And him stabbing the boy, they put it down to him listening to that quote unquote stupid drill music. So somehow they still found a way to blame us for him stabbing someone. They blamed it on drill music. Now, when one of their Catholic priests rapes someone, they don't say, "Oh, it's that gospel music." Right. They want to blame black people for everything. They're blaming drill music. Next slide. Let me just see if I can find the main part. Let me see. See, he was cleared of the murder, but there was also a video of this boy in the court making knife gestures, and the video got sent to the victim's brother. And guess what the judge said? The judge said, "Oh, that was a private message for his girlfriend." So when black people make all these rap songs and whatnot, we go jail for it, man. They say black men are showing no remorse. They said that this guy, they said it doesn't mean that he wasn't showing remorse. It was a private video for his girlfriend. When do we ever get that privilege? And then I believe he only got 4 months when black men get like 30 years for murder, man. And then read this part here.
The case ignited a heated debate about class and race.
And listen, man, the court system is all about class and race. Because this boy is a murderer, but his family got to sit where? In the best seats in the court. When we go to court, where do we sit? We in the dock in between two prison guards, man. That's where we sit. but he got to sit in some nice seats. Go ahead.
In the criminal justice system, Lucy Powell, MP for Manchester Central, asked in a tweet following the acquittal whether the jury would have arrived at the same conclusion if these defendants were black.
See, listen, they even know this, that black people get way more jail time than anybody else.
Right.
They know this, man. And this is all studies. I ain't used one scripture yet because I know people say, oh, all you do is read the Bible. I said today I'm just going to get a ton of articles. I've been keeping these articles. I got some of the papers in my house. I've been keeping these articles for the last 3-4 years.
Go ahead. At state school and from, say, Moss side.
So if these young black kids from Moss side, would they get these same privileges? No, they wouldn't. Go ahead.
In inner city Manchester Borough is historically home to the city's Caribbean population.
Go ahead.
When challenged on whether she had sat through all of the evidence, in this case, Powell said she was making the wider point that research showed black poor young men were much more likely to receive harsher sentences.
Listen, man, everybody knows black men receive harsher sentences.
Right.
There was a black man the other day that some police officer tried to grab his throat and kill him, and he must have hit the officer with the machete. And I read the article. And he got, how long did he get? About 17 years? Yeah, he got about 17 years. Meanwhile, this guy here has murdered someone, made stabbing motions, showed no remorse, and guess what? He only got about 3 months, 4 months. But next slide. Next slide. Actually, one sec. Read this one. Yeah, just read that side there.
During the trial,
Nah, you can just read that one for time's sake.
selfie videos shown during the trial filmed him acting out violent scenarios, which his own lawyer would call idiotic fantasies, fueled by a love of drill music tracks, which glorify the use of knives.
So now they're blaming us. Now they're blaming us, saying, "Oh, it glorifies the use of knives." Now they're blaming us, man. They're trying to blame black people, man. Because this guy decided he wanted to stab someone, black people's getting the blame now. Read on.
He himself, with a machete in the mirror of his bedroom, sniggering as he made violent stabbing motions towards another boy. The point of the blade coming just a few centimeters from his face.
See, if a black person done that, we'll get demonized. Go back one page. Go back one more page. Look at this. Look how nice this picture is on the paper. With ours, it would be a mugshot, man. And they called me a teenager, so ours would be a mugshot, man. Skip forward 2 slides. Next one. And listen, this is the papers. So it says here, thug who kicked policewoman. It called him a thug. And then it says teen in court charged with stab murder of Jaden, 14. So a black man who kicks a police officer, didn't kill her, bearing in mind, just gave her a kick. He's branded a thug. Now, this white boy who killed a 14-year-old, he's branded a teen, man. And then look at his mugshot on the paper, man. And then you look at this side here, says 3 university wrestlers arrested burglary. He called them university wrestlers. Look at them in their nice little college pictures and whatnot. And these black men's ones is mugshots, man. God. And guess what? These two is the same paper. These two is the same paper. So you can't tell me I'm lying, man. Even the papers demonize black people. That's just demonization right there, man. Next slide. Give me the posh accent definition, because people say
Posh accent definition. The Queen's English, also known as received pronunciation or posh, is a well-known English accent spoken by the royal family and other members of the upper class.
Listen, man, they say the Queen's English is spoke by the Queen and upper classes, man. And they say how black people talk. They said it's not even a recorded way of speech and whatnot, man. The way we talk, they say it's not even a recorded way of speech. Go ahead.
In the UK, it is an accent which fascinates many non-native speakers.
So they say this nice posh accent fascinates many non-native speakers. And then obviously we shouldn't forget speaking posh anyway. Who wants to speak like that? I couldn't give a damn about speaking posh. But read that one for me.
And many English language students try to speak with a posh accent.
And they try to speak with a posh accent. Obviously, that's how white people talk. Now, this is how they say we talk. Read Ebonics.
Ebonics, American
Listen, man, they said it's not even a dialect, man. The way black people talk, they say how we talk, it ain't even a dialect and whatnot. Go ahead.
Read them down.
I've standard English.
At its most literal level, Ebonics simply means black speech.
It means what?
Black speech.
Simply means black speech, man. That's how we talk. They don't even give it a proper, like when the white man, they say his is the Queen's English. The way we talk is just black speech. That's to say nobody understands what the hell you're talking about, man. It's just black speech. Read this one for me.
Okay. Slang, a type of language consisting of words, phrases that are regarded as very informal, are more common in speech than writing, and are typically restricted to a particular context.
So they say what we talk is slang, meaning they say what? They speak the Queen's English, and what we talk is slang. So they look down on black people, man, and this way they dumb themselves down. They say black people don't even speak properly. They say you can't have a conversation with a black person because they can't even speak properly. Next slide. Skip this one. Skip this one. This is just the percentages. Skip this one. Skip this one. Yeah, and go ahead.
Oppression.
And this is what oppression is, man. All through this lecture, everything we've read has been oppression, man. It's to oppress black people. Read the definition for me.
Prolonged, cruel.
Prolonged what?
Prolonged.
Listen, man. They've been prolonging their cruelty to us, man. They've been killing us, telling us our language is garbage, telling us we can't get jobs, conning us out of $7,000 every year, not letting us go to their university, not letting us get jobs. They've been prolonged and cruel to us. Go ahead.
Or unjust treatment or exercise of authority.
Listen, man, they've been unjust to us, and it's about time black people start seeing how unjust these people have been towards us. Next slide. Read that for me.
Verse 23. The fruit of thy land and all thy labors shall a nation which thou knowest not eat up.
Basically, everything we put our hands to and what we do, they just take credit for it. They just take it away from us. They eat up everything, man. Go ahead.
And thou shalt be only oppressed.
And thou shalt be what?
Only oppressed.
And this is from the Bible telling us we're going to be only oppressed. And I just showed you what oppression is. We've been cruel. We've been cruel to forever, man. They've been cruel to us forever. The Bible says thou shalt be only oppressed. And everything we've gone over this lecture, it just oppresses black people, man. Next slide. Go ahead.
New research suggests that effort at work is correlated with race.
Effort at work is correlated with race. They say that black people are lazy, man. That's what they say. Go ahead.
Given the long history of making racial slurs about the efforts of some workers, any study casting black and Hispanic men as lazy.
Listen, man, they say black and Hispanic men are lazier than whites. Meanwhile, we the ones that built all their houses.
Right.
We the ones that took care of their kids.
Right.
We the ones that cut the grass, that picked the cotton.
Right.
And they call us lazy, man. We the ones that picked all them coffee beans so they can have a cup of coffee. We the ones that picked all the sugar cane so they can put sugar in that coffee.
Right.
We done all of that. We the ones why they're wearing a cotton t-shirt on their back. And then they have the cheek to say that black and Hispanic men are lazier than everybody else. Listen, man, that's European supremacy, man. The proof is in the pudding that we built everything. How dare they call us lazy, man?
Right.
We're the reason why this place is built up to what it is today. Go ahead.
Black and Hispanic men as lazier than whites and Asians. In short, to court controversy, a provocative new working paper by an economist Daniel Hammermesh, K.E. Jenadek, and Michael Berger sticks a tentative toe into these murky waters. They suggest that America's well-documented racial wage gap is overstated by 10% because minorities.
Listen, man, even though there's a wage gap also. Go ahead.
Especially men, spend larger portions of their work days not actually working.
See, now they're trying to say that black men and Hispanic men at jobs don't work. We have to work extra hard, man.
Right.
We have to do twice. You know why? Because we know that the manager sees us, and obviously we know that he's watching us and he already wants us out the door. Right. So we have to make sure the job gets done. But they say we're lazy. But for time's sake, next slide.
Go ahead. Independent. Police use force disproportionately against black people.
Listen, police use force disproportionately against black people. This is why the police will rough you up, and they don't rough up no other race. Go ahead.
In England and Wales, figures suggest police are using force disproportionately against black people in England and Wales. Statistics released analysis showed that 12% of incidents involving the use of force that were recorded by police were against black people, who make up only 3.3% of the population.
Listen, if we only make up 3.3% of the population, how is that 12% of the incidents involving the use of force here is against us if we're the minority here, man?
Right.
Which lets you know if there's more of us here, there'll be more abuse. This number would be higher. Go ahead.
Black people were involved in proportionately more incidents that involved armed police.
So black people was involved in more incidents that involved armed policemen, meaning what? They just want to shoot us, man. Now, when it comes to white people, they don't really bring out armed police, but for black people, they bring out armed police and they stop you, call like you're a terrorist and whatnot.
Right.
The way they pull in front of you, shoot the tires and all of those things, man. Go ahead.
Using guns at 26% and 20% of people involved in taser incidents were black.
And the taser us also, and that's how what's the name? Dalian Atkinson died. The taser them, man. Why? Because he was black.
Next slide. White people who constitute 86% of the population.
Listen, white people is 86% of the population, and their arrest rate is way lower than ours. Their arrest rate with weapons is way lower than ours, even though they're 86%. Listen, they're 86% of the population and 100% of the problem on the earth.
Right.
But obviously, their arrest rate is way lower than ours. Go ahead.
The population in England and Wales experienced under 3/4 of the use of force incidents.
See, they experience under 3/4, which lets you know our little percentage, and we're experiencing more harm than these are. Next slide. No, read on.
They were also proportionately less likely to be subjected to use of firearms at 51% or tasers at 67%.
See, they don't bring out firearms and tasers for them, but for us to do. Go ahead.
Mr. Twist said officers make operational assessments to use the absolute minimum amount of force.
That's a lie, man, because they use maximum amount of force on us. They don't use minimum amount of force on black people. Listen, man, I see black people getting shot for running away, man. That don't sound like minimum force. I see black people. Listen, there was a video where the policeman broke into the black man's car, made glass go in his eye and everything, man, and he done nothing wrong. That don't sound like the minimum amount of force to me. Next slide. Go back one slide. Yeah, this one there.
The most common reason force was used.
So now it's going to tell you the most common reason force was used. Go ahead.
By an officer was to protect themselves or other officers, as well as effecting an arrest or preventing suspect escaping.
Go ahead.
The most prevalent impact factor recorded was the influence of alcohol, seen in 127,000 incidents, followed by drugs and the size.
So that's what they say. Now this is what I'm going to say. They use force based on this right here. Go ahead.
Drugs and the size, gender, build.
So they said now they do it. They use force based on what your size, your gender. Shamgar, listen, they're gonna steal. Listen, you better stay away from them police. I'm telling you. They said size, gender, and build. Really, it's all based on race, man. Because I've seen them arrest some small black people, man, and they use excessive force. Exactly. So they're saying it's based on size, gender. Really, they wanted to put race in there, but they just couldn't. 100 years ago, they would have put race in there, but because they're trying to be politically correct, they're not going to put it in there now. Next slide. Now, this is, I ain't even got the video for this, but this is, did everyone see this video with the Royal Mailman at the door? And he's like, hurry up and open the door, you black cunt. That's what they think of us. Next slide. This is another one. Read this one for me.
Racist, sir. Cops called in after teacher compares black 15-year-old pupil's skin color of burnt toast.
Listen, man. They said the sister's skin was the color of burnt toast, man. Which means what? She's going to have low self-esteem. Imagine you're black and people are teasing you for the color of your skin. What's going to happen? She's not going to want to be black no more, man. And then this is where you see a ton of videos of our women bleaching their skin, wanting to be lighter, man. Because they make it like being black is horrible and it looks like burnt toast. And that's what the listen, a teacher told her that. I mean, how do you expect him to teach you anything and he's saying your skin's the color of burnt toast? Read on.
Cops have been called into the school, into a school in Bristol.
And listen, Bristol's only what, 2 hours away? Bristol's only 2 hours away from here, man. Go ahead.
After a teacher allegedly compared a black pupil's skin to the color of burnt toast.
Listen, man. If this ain't racism, this is listen. They said their skin's the color of burnt toast, man. Right. Imagine you've got a daughter and your daughter comes home crying, saying I don't want to go to school tomorrow because the teacher said my skin looks like burnt toast. Listen, man, and this is why we need to teach our kids how precious being black is, man. Because you know what's gonna happen if we don't. They're gonna grow up and they're not gonna want to be black no more. Then they're gonna have the blonde hair in their hair. They're gonna want to be like white women. They're gonna bleach, and then before you know it, our whole nation is not gonna be our nation no more. Go ahead.
They said the toast was black, burnt, looked disgusting.
See, he said the toast was black, burnt, and looked disgusting, which means that he's saying black women look disgusting, man. Which means black women is gonna have low self-esteem, and then guess what's gonna happen? They're just gonna get with any man that wants them and whatnot. And then obviously all of this racism, what our oppressors did, even rubbed off on black people, because for a time black men didn't like dark-skinned women. For a time, black men used to be like, nah, she's too dark-skinned still. Black men used to be like, nah, she's too dark for me and whatnot. And then before you know it, but now I've realized nowadays black men are starting to like dark-skinned women again now. So yeah, it's changing now. Go ahead.
Just like the color of your skin.
See, he said the toast was black burnt. It looked disgusting, just like the color of your skin. So they say black people's skin looks disgusting. And once you understand that every white person thinks like this, it will make your life easier. Like, who cares if they think our skin looks like burnt toast? We think that their skin looks dead, and we think they're rotting and they're dying and whatnot. So who cares what they think about us? Yeah, read that.
Melissa Curtis explained how her 15-year-old daughter, I.S.U.P.K, had been left upset and angry.
And you can see why she would be upset and angry. Imagine something you've got no control over. Someone tells you it's disgusting. The same burnt toast. Like, everyone knows burnt toast is disgusting. So imagine someone saying, yeah, like your skin. It's basically saying your skin's disgusting. Go ahead.
By the disgraceful comment made during the lesson. Out of nowhere.
And listen, man, our oppressors' racism comes out of nowhere, man.
Right.
Sometimes you be just doing something, he mutters nigger under his breath, just out of the blue. He just can't help it. He just has to let it out. Like if you ain't listen, if you think your boss ain't racist, don't worry, he just ain't been racist to you. When he goes in the office, he screams nigger behind that door and clenches his fist, and he just wants to beat you up on the job one day. One day he's gonna make sure the equipment fails so you get injured or whatnot. He hates you, man. Go ahead.
Out of nowhere, they come out with that firm Miss Curtis. They were in a group, and this person started telling them about a friend they used to live with who would burn the toast and set off the smoke alarm.
So now he's basically saying black people's skin's burnt and whatnot, which is a comment that he shouldn't be making to a 15-year-old girl, man. Like, if he wants to make that comment, tell him come here and make it, man. And we will have a lot to say to him, man. Tell him come here. Tell him I'll let him. Tell him he'll be the first white man I let in the building to come in and make that comment. He can make that comment in here all day long. Next slide. So now, also, this is the definition of fair. There's different definitions of it. There's an old definition. There's a new definition. Now, actually, we're not even going to read that for time. So read that there. The definition.
Fair, a woman with fair hair. An adjective. The definition of fair is someone or something that is light in color.
Fair is what?
Someone that is light in color.
So they say fair is someone that is light in color. Now, before, fair used to mean beautiful. So now they're saying you're only fair if you're light in color, which means what? What about all these dark-skinned women, all these dark-skinned men?
Right.
That means they're saying they ain't beautiful. Read the next one.
Attractive. Honest.
No, it is what attractive. So they said fair is attractive. So they're saying being light in complexion is attractive. They're saying being black and dark skin ain't attractive. So what? That's gonna make black people not want to be black no more. And this is why you need the I.S.U.P.K, man. So we can tell you how black beautiful, how. So we can show you how beautiful black is, and all these dark skinned women that don't feel like they're beautiful, I welcome you with open arms. My arms are open to you right now. I'll take every last one of you out. Listen, I'll take every last one of you. Next slide. And then now this is another definition of fair. What does it mean? This is another definition of fair.
Not dark.
If these black women, when these leprosy tell them that if they look and say fuck off as leprosy, why you look like that? They would have to look into themselves more. Because I've done that in courthouse in Gloucester. When I tell all of you are fucking dogs. And if the judge has to look for me and ask me, are you racist? He say, you are not racist, then you are damn liar. God is racist. And I'm racist.
Right.
I'm not racist. They do the report because this black woman, they don't get one side. Fuck you, left. Anytime they start talking about it, they start withdrawing their statement. They don't put those side, you know. Because she might it's fine, that's what
You could do that. Read that for me.
Adjective. Not dark.
So fair, which means beautiful. They said being beautiful is not dark. So if you're dark skinned, they're saying you can't be beautiful because being beautiful means not dark. Go ahead.
Fair skin,
So being beautiful is fair skin. Go ahead.
personal fair complexion.
Being beautiful is a person of fair complexion, which means that eliminates black women from being beautiful according to this definition. Next slide.
Discrimination.
Yeah, read that. Go ahead.
Discrimination based on skin color. Discrimination based on skin color, also known as colorism or shadeism,
Because a lot of colorism goes on in our own race. Go ahead.
right, is a form of prejudice or discrimination, usually from members of the same race.
So now this goes in a lot in our own race. Black men will be like, I don't want her, she's too dark. Black women will be like, I only like light skinned men, he's too dark. Look how black he is. There. Because they've learned this from our oppressor. Go ahead.
The same race in which people are treated differently based on the social implications from cultural meanings attached to skin color. When people think of racism, it is usually against people outside of their ethnicity. Colorism is discrimination against people because they have a darker complexion.
Now listen, man, they discriminate against people with a darker complexion.
Right.
You're less likely to get a job if you're darker. Because this country don't like dark skinned people. Go ahead.
The idea of racism and colorism are similar. Someone with a lighter complexion is considered to be more beautiful or valuable than someone with dark skin.
Listen, man, someone who's light skinned is known to be more valuable or beautiful than someone with dark skin. Like when you go to these clubs, everybody wants the light skinned girl, right? Everybody wants the light skinned girl and the dark skinned girl. Like, listen, I prefer Kelly over Beyonce all day long. That's just me. That's just me. Listen, Kelly, I've been DMing her left, right, and she still don't reply. Get me? She still don't reply. So listen, I don't know. So people saying dark skinned women got low self-esteem, not Kelly, because listen, she should have replied by now, but go ahead.
Research has found extensive evidence of discrimination based on skin color in criminal justice,
So they found it in the criminal justice system. Go ahead.
business, the economy, housing, healthcare, media, and politics in the United States and Europe. Lighter skin tones are seen as preferable in many countries.
And lighter skin tones are seen as preferably better in many countries. And this is why everybody's always bleaching, trying to be the lightest and whatnot. Even though when they bleach, their skin loses all the pigment and it looks horrible. Right. You can tell it's not even a natural light skin color, but they would rather look disfigured like that than be dark skin.
Was there any more there? No, there's a little bit more in locations in Africa, Asia, and South America. Colorism, dark skin and light skin. Why there is no difference? If you're black or Asian, then you might be familiar with other black and Asian people making comments on how light skin or dark skin you are.
And listen, this is why with Snapchat, what do people do? Try and put on the light skin filter. You seen that one, innit? Everyone puts on the light skin filter, or women take picture where there's perfect lighting, which makes them look lighter, or they put on makeup which is lighter than their natural tone. There's nothing wrong with being dark skin, man. Dark skin is beautiful, man. Go ahead.
If you're not, you might have heard these comments being made at school or elsewhere. What is colorism? Colorism is a form of racism, which is usually seen when people are negative about people who have a darker skin tone. It also includes people that treat others with a lighter skin tone better.
Listen, that happens all the time, man. People treat people with a lighter skin tone better. Go ahead.
It is something that I remember seeing in school, and it's something that still happens in society today.
And it still happens in society today. Go ahead.
Where can you find colorism? One place where you might find, where you might see it is the entertainment industry.
Now, listen, when you look at these rap videos, do you ever see dark-skinned girls in the videos? No. All the women have to be light-skinned, man. All the videos of these music women in the music videos, they're all light-skinned. None of them ain't dark-skinned because they don't want dark-skinned women in the videos, man. Because why? Colorism and whatnot. You look at all these rappers' videos, all the girls have to be mixed race with long hair. They never have a black woman with an afro in there and whatnot. Like no one wants to be seen with a black woman with an afro and whatnot because of colorism and all these things. Go ahead.
A lot of people think that light-skinned people in the industry are more likely to be successful.
And in this world, they are more likely to be successful because that's what this country pushes. The lighter you are, the better.
Darker skinned people.
In comparison to darker skinned people, go ahead. Read this one.
Black single searching for Mr. Right.
So this was a lady that was a bit dark skinned. She was black, single, searching for Mr. Right. Go ahead.
Bridget Tete heard her fair share of dating horror stories. I don't date black women.
Listen. By the way, that's not Shamgar's opinion. He's just reading the thing. Let me just put that out there. That's not Shamgar's opinion. He's just reading what someone else said. Go ahead.
Was a sentence she heard too many times.
So this is a sentence that we've all heard. I don't date black women. There's some black men that don't date. I know some light skinned black men that don't date black women. Like they'll be like, nah, she's too dark. And they're looking like she ain't even that dark. Like, I don't get it. Go ahead.
In single black female, she explores the relationship between dating and race.
Read this one for me.
Pretty for dark skin.
Listen, every black woman's heard this. You're pretty for a dark skinned girl. Like that's an insult in itself, man.
Right.
So what you're trying to say, dark skinned girls can't be pretty, but you're just one that slipped through the cracks. You kind of pretty because you're dark skinned. Listen, man, that's what every black woman's heard, that you're pretty for dark skin. And read on. Oh yeah, and to all black men that like white women and whatnot, when they say the one man that's tall, dark, and handsome, they mean tall. And when they say dark, they don't mean black. They mean like dark hair. I only found out this from Love Island the other day. I thought, damn, all these women want a black man, and then I realized the dark is dark hair. So when they say tall, dark, and handsome, they ain't on about you. They're just on about dark hair. Go ahead. I just got to put that out there so you know you don't embarrass yourself one day. Go ahead.
There's a phrase Rachel, who works in fashion, has heard on numerous occasions when searching for love. She is just one of many black women who told me that black men were judging their potential as a suitable romantic partner by the hue of their skin tone. Growing up, I was very aware that if you had like eyes, long wavy hair.
And now there was one stage where every black man wanted blue contacts, man. I seen the nigga as dark as me with blue contact lenses, man. I was like, damn, at least get some more, get brown ones, which could be right. Seeing black men with blue contacts, dark skin women with grey contacts, and obviously the reason we do that is because what? Subconsciously we know that obviously these other nations don't find us beautiful, and then you're trying to make yourself look beautiful, so you go and get these contacts, you go and get different color weaves and whatnot. Because I mean, why would a black man want blue contacts, like blue of all colors? You know why? Because you're oppressor. His eyes is blue, so you want to look like him. Go ahead.
Fair skin, basically anything opposite of my thick, full afro.
See, and now black women don't want that thick, full afro. So what happens now? They change everything about them, man. Go ahead.
You were going to get far more male attention.
See, and that's the thing, they want male attention. And now males like all these women that they see in the music videos. So now this is why women are going where it's for them BBLs, the Brazilian butt lifts. That's what it is. These Brazilian butt lifts. Now I know what it is really, but obviously I just make it like I don't. But yeah, all these women are going for these BBLs and because of what they see in the music videos. So now obviously everyone's going to be plastic surgery all the way out now. Like before now, women, you'd look at them and like that was natural and whatnot. Nowadays, these women is all in the surgeries, getting BBL, butt lifts and whatnot. Next slide.
Decades later, my journey has revealed not enough has changed.
And nothing ain't changed since. Let me skip you down for time's sake. Yeah, read from there. I also watched
videos where young men describe the prospect of dating a black girl as disgusting.
So now they're teaching to date a black girl is disgusting. See, and obviously, imagine being a black woman hearing that. Go ahead.
YouTuber Van Banter asks, are dark-skinned girls underrated?
Listen, man, dark-skinned girls are underrated, man.
Right.
Dark-skinned girls are underrated, man. Go ahead.
It's why I've been on a journey investigating the hurdles black women face when looking for love.
Go ahead.
I wasn't prepared for the recurring issue of colorism, or to put it another way, the discrimination people with darker skin tones face, even from other black people.
So they're even discriminated against from other black people. But next slide.
The men I spoke to tell me that it is simply not true, and that black men are in vogue. Actor Justin tells me, you get white girls who are more attracted to you because you're black and cool.
So that's what they think. White women are attracted to them because they're black and cool. until they put that rape charge on you.
Right.
You get me? You're black and cool in jail, man. After that, you get me? You're black and cool in jail. Go ahead.
And know who's so solid. Crew. Oh.
So what he said is these white women are interested in you because they know who's so solid, crew are. So, so that's why they like you because they know who's so solid, crew are. Go ahead. And there was once a time all them white women. Which one did it? Was it Harvey or Romeo? Was Romeo in it? Harvey and Romeo, yeah.
Entrepreneur of Falabi blames media stereotyping, while actor Kadeem tells me some of his friends are looking for a white girlfriend, like celebrity Kim Kardashian.
And that's what most men want, a Kim Kardashian. Because that's what they push on TV, that's the perfect woman. She's beautiful. This is what every man should have. So now black men don't want black women, they want a Kim Kardashian.
It's no surprise that the relationship between race and dating is complex. But I can't help thinking without honest discussion within the black community, how would the many issues ever be addressed?
Next slide. Go ahead.
Self-esteem. Self-esteem is an individual's subjective evaluation of their own worth.
So listen, our own worth is what we think of ourselves is going to be low after hearing all that. After hearing that dark-skinned people don't get no love and whatnot, we're going to have low self-esteem. And then what's going to happen? You're going to start to do things that you wouldn't usually do. What's going to happen? Women are just going to what? Sleep with anyone that will sleep with them because they're going to be like, well, I'm ugly and I'm dark-skinned. Why does he want to sleep with me? Let me just give him whatnot. Because that's what this society teaches us, that we're ugly and we're good for nothing and whatnot.
Self-esteem encompasses beliefs about oneself. For example, I am unloved.
And listen, man, we've been unloved in this place, man. And this is why the I.S.U.P.K is here to bring back all the love we need, man. Because outside of this place, there's no love. Outside of this building, there's no love, man. You're unloved by every other race. Nobody loves you outside of here, man. But in here, you will know your worth, and that with the princes and princesses of God, man, we will know our worth. Go ahead.
As well as emotional state.
And low self-esteem messes with your emotional state. So low self-esteem kind of messes with your whole life, man. Everything you do in life, you'll be unproductive because you got low self-esteem. You look at yourself low. You tell yourself, I can't do this, I can't do that. All based off this European supremacy, man. So they find many ways to put you down. Go ahead. Put you down, whether saying you're ugly and dark skin and by not giving you jobs and all based on your skin. Go ahead.
Such as triumph, despair, pride, and shame.
And shame, man, meaning what? Now some black people are ashamed to be black, man. The Nation of Islam, they're so ashamed to be black now. Black Christians are ashamed to be black. They say that God don't see color, he sees the spirit. Well, guess what? I see color, man. That's what I see. I see color. Go ahead.
Smith and Mackey, 2007, defined it by saying the self-concept is what we think.
Jump to this side.
Self-esteem is an attractive psychological construct because it predicts certain outcomes such as academic achievement.
And listen, man, all these other nations, they've got self-esteem because you know they own everything. Now, black people as a nation, we've been set up to fail, so our self-esteem is going to be low. We're going to say to ourselves, "Oh, I can't do this, I can't do that," based on us not being able to do things in the past. So our self-esteem is going to be low. Go ahead. And listen, man, us black people, our self-esteem is low because we ain't happy in this place. We can't even get a job. We're not happy. We're barely surviving. Police pulling us over. Police trying to shoot us. We're far from happy. Go ahead.
Satisfaction in marriage and relationship.
Oh yeah, read this for me. I'm just gonna read this. This is what book did they get it out of? One of the revolt books about Jamaica. Go ahead.
The Morant Bay Rebellion. Which one? Left. Tensions resulted in October 1865. Morant Bay Rebellion, led by Paul Mongo.
So Paul Bogle was a black man that didn't like the injustice and whatnot. Go ahead.
The rebellion was sparked on the 7th of October when a black man was put on trial and imprisoned for allegedly trying.
So basically, these lot rioted, same like we rioted for Mark Duggan. Black people's always been rioting. You know why we riot? Because of the injustice which is taking place to us, man. Go ahead.
Trespassing on a long abandoned plantation.
So it was an abandoned plantation, and they put him on trial for that. Go ahead.
disruption.
Hold on one second. Let me see if I can skip you down. Jump down to about this part here. Down there.
October 11th. Yeah. 11th October, Mr. Paul marched with a group of protesters.
And this is what black people do in the riot. Black people march with what? They march and then it turns into a riot. This Paul Bogle done the same thing. Go ahead.
Tomorrow day, when the group arrived at the courthouse, they were met by small, inexperienced volunteer militia.
So they was met by like the army or the police and whatnot. Go ahead.
The crowd began pelting the militia with rocks.
So now this is what black people do when they feel there's been the government's been unjust to them. So what these people did is what they marched and started throwing rocks and so forth, because that's what black people do in the riot. They first start throwing stuff. Go ahead.
And the militia
I'm gonna show you how nothing's changed from then till now. Go ahead.
and the militia opened fire on the group, killing 7 black protesters before retreating.
So we was only throwing stones, then they started shooting us and killing us. But read on for time's sake.
Governor John Erie sent government troops under Brigadier General Alexander Nelson to hunt down the poorly armed rebels.
So the right to hunt down the poorly armed rebels. That's what they see us as. You see, in 2010 after Mark Duggan's death, what did they do? Started hunting down us. They called us rebels. Same thing. They was hunting us down. Same way they was hunting these down. Go ahead.
And bring Paul Bogle back to Moran Bay for trial.
So the white this man on trial. Go ahead.
The troops met with no organized resistance, but regardless, they killed blacks.
So listen, they was met with no resistance, but killed the black people anyway. And this is the same thing the police do to us, man. They done the same thing to Rashawn Charles. They was met with no resistance and choked him to death, man. Mark Duggan was met with no resistance and shot him to death. The same thing they was doing back in the 1800s, they're still doing it now, which lets you know nothing changes. Go ahead.
Indiscriminately, most of whom had not been involved in the riot.
Listen, most of these black people weren't even involved in the riot or the rebellion, but they killed them based off what? Off them being black. And the whole point of me bringing out this is why when you're trying to love all people, you're going to just be killed based on your skin color, man. Which lets you know when these race wars do kick off, you can't say I'm black but I love white people. Nah, that's not going to work, man. Some of these people would have been black that loved white people. They weren't involved in the riots, but they killed them based on skin color, man. Read on.
According to one soldier, we slaughtered all before us.
Hold on, they did what?
Slaughtered all before us.
They slaughtered all black people that was before them, man. Every black person that was in front of them, they killed them, man. Go ahead.
Man or woman.
Huh? Man or what?
Man or woman. Or child.
Says man or woman or child. So when we say, their kids is going to be slaves, we're going to put them outside in the cold and whatnot, people get mad at us and say, but they're only babies. These were only babies, man. Some of them was women, and they didn't care. So, I mean, why should we care? Go ahead.
In the end, 439 black Jamaicans were killed directly by soldiers.
See, 439 Jamaicans were killed directly by soldiers, man. Go ahead.
And 354 more, including Paul Bogle, were arrested and later executed.
So the man that was looking for, they executed him. Go ahead.
Without proper trials.
Without even proper trials, and black men never get a fair trial in court.
Right.
Up until today, we still don't get a fair trial in court. Go ahead.
Governor John Erie sent the government troops under Brigadier General Alexander Nelson to hunt down the poorly armed rebels and bring Paul Bogle back to Moran Bay for trial. The troops met with no organized resistance.
I think you read that part already.
Yeah? Oh, okay. Next slide.
One sec. Nah, I think you missed. Yeah, this part. This part down there. This part down here.
Some without proper trial. Paul Bogle was executed either the same evening he was tried or the next morning. Other punishments included flogging for over 600 men and women, including some pregnant women.
So now they was doing this to pregnant women who had nothing to do with the riots. Go ahead.
And long prison sentences with thousands of homes belonging to black Jamaicans were burned down without any justifiable reason.
So now there's burning, after this riot, there's burning on black people's homes without any justifiable reasons, man. Meaning, once they burned your house down, you would have nowhere to live, man. They was burning down black people's house. Next slide. Read that for me.
Evicting rioters, families.
Listen, this is the same thing, man. Back then, they just burnt your house down. Nowadays, if you was part of the riot, they just evict you from your house, man, which means nothing's changed. Back then, they would burn your house down, which meant you would have nowhere to live. Nowadays, they just evict you from your house, which means you got nowhere to live. Because obviously, if they burn down your house now, it's not politically correct. So now they just evict you from your house, which means where are you going to live? So the same thing that was doing in the 1800s, they also done it in, what year was Mark done? 2010? Yeah, they done the same thing. Go ahead.
Evicting rioters' families from their homes. There's a horrible logic to it.
Go on, read this side.
Meanwhile, members of that police force had killed a bystander.
Listen, in the last case, they did what? They took a man to jail for walking on an abandoned plantation. And then now this one, they killed an innocent man. Obviously, black people are gonna be going wild over it. Go ahead.
At one protest and were criticized for violence and intimidation at another.
So these police have always been violent to black people. They killed a man that was at one of the protests. Ain't nothing changed from the 1800s. Go ahead.
Then they shot a man.
Then they did what?
Then they shot a man.
Now it sounds familiar, man. They're always shooting us, man. Go ahead. Now they're shooting us in the 1800s also.
It was wrongly claimed that he had shot at them first.
It was wrongly claimed that he had shot at them first. So that's what police say. Well, I thought he shot at me, even though he had no gun. Go ahead.
And young people across the country rioted.
And obviously being black and not being in the truth and not understanding what to do, you're gonna riot, man. That's the only way you know how to show your anger is riot and burn down all the shops because you want to be heard. That's the only way they know how to do it, man. And then they would let them riot and just kick them out of their houses, which means they got nowhere to live. Go ahead.
Setting fire to police cars, attacking police stations, looting high streets and retail parks. After that, courts worked through the night in Manchester, and the mother of two got 5 months for accepting a looted pair of shorts.
So she got 5 months for accepting the pair of shorts. Go ahead.
From a friend, and a young man got 6 months for pinching a bottle of water.
Listen, man, that's extreme. 6 months for pinching a bottle of water.
Finally, these young people's families started to be issued with eviction orders from their social accommodation.
So now they started to get eviction orders, meaning now they're getting kicked out of their houses, man. But next slide. Same thing, London riots, tenants sent eviction warning letters. Go ahead.
London riots, tenants and eviction warning letters.
Next slide. Read that for me.
And the great dragon was cast out, that old serpent.
And it says the old serpent, because that same devil that was killing us in the 1800s, the same devil that was killing us in the 1600s and 1400s,
Right.
that old serpent, go ahead.
Called the devil. And
Called the devil and Satan is the same devil killing us in 2020, man.
Right.
That's been killing us our whole life. Go ahead.
Which deceiveth the whole world.
And he deceived the whole world by pushing this European supremacy, man, by teaching black women that they're ugly and they're horrible, and by setting up systematic racism. Go ahead.
He was cast out into the earth.
And he was cast out into the earth. Listen, this man's going to be brought down low in that day. In that day, he's going to understand that we, the children of God, and he's the devil the Bible speaks of. And as soon as his kids comes out the womb, and as soon as his baby comes out the womb, we're going to look at that baby and say, "You, the devil the Bible speaks of." And as soon as you can crawl, you're going on the plantation. That's what we're going to say to them. Go ahead.
And his angels were cast out with him.
And anyone that follows him was cast out with him. Go ahead. And that brings us to the end of the lecture. Shalom, Israel. Oh, and we also got some food here as well, man. We got the food drives. We got what is it? Taha Mind and Body. What's it called? Taha Mind and Body. Yeah. We got some soaps also in there. Forwarded to everyone for coming. Big up there. And we got donations. We got food in the back as well. Also, big up the sisters. Heart with the food. Big up to Officer Parasha, leader of the UK. Come on the stage. Come on. Big up to Officer Karafi. Come on the stage. This is my right hand man right here. Listen. Listen, I'll speak to this nigga every day. You see what you see when they don't reply within 5 minutes? He puts out welfare checks, and one time he's put out about 3 welfare checks. I'm saying, yo, I've been sleeping. Who else is there? Who's there? Shamgar coming up. Big up Shamgar. Innit? I knew this nigga was solid when I never met him and I said, yo, pass over. I seen some. I'm thinking, who's that nigga? I seen him coming through the airport with his boots and everything. Who's that? Come on. Big up. Come on, Caravan. Come on up, man. Listen, man. I remember Caravan from when Caravan first came to the UK, man. I remember he made some choreo and whatnot. He's been in England too long. He don't want to make it no more. I think he's been here too long, you know. Who's next? Marisol coming up, man. Marisol next. Marisol, come on next. Get me Marisol, man. Listen, man. This brother came in as well, man. He's about to get his officer's test soon. Soon he's going to be an officer also. Hakayan coming up, man. First when I saw this nigga, I was like, this nigga's crazy. This nigga's crazy and he's in the right place, man. Big up all the sisters that help. Big up Taz and Norway. We fight tooth and nail about what we're going to cook. Big up Nakapa. Nakapa is the most quiet. I don't think I've ever heard Nakapa speak. All I've heard they say shalom. That's all I've heard they say shalom. Big up Ahaba. Me and her go back a long way. Brilliant sister in the school, man. All these sisters help me out, man. Big up to my rib Kamala. She helps with always cooking. Every morning cooking onions. She damn burnt 2 layers off my eyes the other day. People think I wear these because of fashion, but nah, she burnt 2 layers off my eyes. And with that, all right, shalom. That's the end of the lecture.